babies looking for food, starvation, the recipe, people subdued. When the people you trust got it in for you. Deceit is the word of the day in every crew. Don't let it go, it's from the days of old. Time is up, but some still do not know. Can I make up my mind? Is it worth the dime? Do I have to take a minute just to make it mine? Life's never fair, but don't listen to the TV. Go out and take a listen to the streets with the people in the slums and the homeless bums with degrees and degrees sitting under a tree. It's not easy in the world for the poor man, the one that brought you to reality. See, they don't want you to know about the black sheep. Even 7 roads to the 12 families all around the globe with an ancient code. Is it really asking a lot to say a that's old? Cause we sitting on the earth looking back at extinct, and I'm standing on some ground that's about to sink. I ain't scared for a minute, I ain't about to blink, but I documented for the world what I see and think. Feel we on the call and up and we on the brink. All Congress gonna do is waste paper and ink. Vote or die, you voted and you'll die. You can have it both ways, can't say it's a lie. You can march all you want, but they playing you wrong. They only understand war, it's the same old song. They want war, all they really want is a war. Diversionary tactic to make the big score. The diamonds in the morning, you know they want more, but they wanna keep you low, so they manifest the war. All they really want is a war. Diversionary tactic to make the big score. The diamonds in the morning, you know they want more, but they wanna keep you low, so they manifest the war. Like the lotus coming out of the mud with colors, I create envy in those with power but jealous. I unify the poor with my song, the hell with the others. Descended the way they treat indigenous brothers, cause I understand we link forever. They try to hate us even though that we keep it together. I'm not talking about controlling the air or the weather. I'm talking about maintaining the truth, the high endeavor. A rebel drops bombs in the midst of trouble. The free world counterattack and now there's double. But nature gets the shit in a way to settle. If you stop the machines for a minute you might hear, but they won't cause the TV's whisper in the ear. And capitalism has eyes that don't dare, and they cloud up and get crazy and won't stare. And like an ad, it's hard to get an ass to listen. Living like this is like living in prison. It's hard to keep hope when you're living in prison.
All right, now 1212. It is February 28th, 09:15 Central European Time. That will make it 3:15 Eastern Standard Time, America. What's up, everybody? I just wanted to get back on this real quick and examine a few things about Bill Clinton's testimony. Obviously we don't know because we won't really know until we see the videotapes. But we do have statements from Hillary Clinton, and we also have statements from Bill Clinton now. And there's been some reaction to these things and details. But I just got to say right off of the bat, and I'm obviously not convinced. I don't think any rational, logical thinking person can be convinced that Trump is not the number one individual involved with Epstein. I'm just saying from the information that has been released, right? If a rational person would be able to think something else, they would need to release the files and show that some other people are involved more than Trump. But so far, judging by what's been released, Donald J. Trump is most intimately and succinctly tied to Jeffrey Epstein's operations more than any other individual. Now, having said that, I don't trust Hillary Clinton. I never have. I don't like her, and I've said this a few times. I'm not for nepotism. I'm not for dynasties in politics. I'm not for a small group of people having power. No, I'm not for that. I think that destroys nations. And I think people lose power when they allow that to happen in their politics, period. No matter what country you are, no matter what political party you are, no matter if you're right leaning, left leaning, center leaning, just all of it. I believe as an American citizen, we have 350 million Americans. When we concentrate power around a handful of people in any way, shape, or form, financial, political, we are making the gravest mistake that could ever be made on earth. And so that's why I didn't actually vote for Hillary Clinton. I voted for Barack Obama. I didn't vote for Hillary Clinton. Although Trump won, I'm from DC, so my vote didn't really swing it because we have one electoral vote, and it's a strong Democratic state, you know what I'm saying, or city. So we did endorse Hillary Clinton. And but Trump won the election, obviously against her. But I didn't vote for Hillary Clinton. I didn't vote that year, and that's just I'm just being honest. I forget what year that was. That was some time ago, right? But in any case, and that's the reason why, because Bill Clinton was already president, and I'm not for dynasties, and I wasn't 20 years ago for dynasties. I'm just being who I am, consistent. I won't be for dynasties with Trump. So anybody related to his family, or I ain't going for it, period. I don't care who it is. No other Trump should ever be president of the United States ever again. And no other Clinton. Now, having said that, why? Because there's a whole lot of other people and a whole lot of other names out there. We got 350 Americans. Let's try some new ones. Let's get some new people. Right. And, there's plenty of honorable people that can serve, that are willing to serve. So, but having said that, it's also, in my view, it's also obvious. I mean, in my view, I just don't believe, I'm not inclined to believe Bill Clinton off the start. And why is that? Because of his history with Monica Lewinsky. So, and I'm just talking about men. I mean, it is a fact, 100%, that Bill Clinton did have relations with that woman. Somehow she got his private semen on her dress and took it to people, and they had the whole country went through a whole thing about it already. So that places, in my view, Bill Clinton in line with being a person that could fall for a honeypot trap, could fall for espionage, could fall, even if he doesn't realize it, right? So I'm not so inclined to believe much about what Bill Clinton says. That's why I say release the files. That's why Congress said release the files. That's why the Dems said release the files. And that's why Trump has not released the files, because they don't want you to know. They don't want you to be able to discern the difference between Clinton and Trump. They just want you to wash your hands of it, and that's it. I don't need to know anything else, But having said that, it's worth taking a listen to what they had to say. And then there is also some body language shit going on here that's going to be very, very interesting, that I also want to check out and related to that. And we will see what it does after that. Now, let me see if I can pull this up real quick, just to get this going. Is it here or is it here? Right, here we go. This is going to be very, very interesting. Did I have this up? Where is it at? Boom. Right, here we go. Let's see what Bill Clinton has to say.
I just finished testifying in front of the House Oversight Committee. I did it for two reasons. First, I love my country.
I'm sure there's going to be some body language experts that review this. I myself am not digging the body language here, like straight up. That's the first thing that throws me off about it. Hey, Tay, what's up? Yeah, this is the first thing that throws me off, but let's take a look.
Including our Constitution. I just finished testifying in front of the House Oversight Committee. I did it for two reasons. First, I love my country, including our Constitution. And America was built on the idea that no person is above the law, even presidents, especially presidents, and that we should all live under the same set of rules. This kind of democracy requires every person to play their part. And I hope that by being there today, we can bring ourselves just a little further away from the brink and back to being a country where we can disagree civilly and we can search for truth and justice, and that it outweighs the partisan urge to score points and create spectacle. The second reason I was there is that the girls and women whose lives Jeffrey Epstein destroyed deserve not just justice, but healing. They've been waiting too long for both. Though my brief acquaintance with Epstein.
Well, it's worth noting Monica Lewinsky didn't claim that Trump assaulted her or raped her or sex trafficked her. And so there is a distinction there. You know what I'm saying? But I'm just saying, again, I'm going to say I'm inclined, because of Monica Lewinsky, to believe that Bill Clinton probably was a target of a honeypot scheme. That's obviously why he was around Epstein. Even if you take out his weakness for keeping it in the pants while he's a married man, even if you put that aside, right? It's obvious he was a target. It's obvious. You know what I mean? You don't hang around the most prolific sex trafficker, blackmailer in the country's history and as a president and not be a target. And obviously Jeffrey Epstein was like, well, he fell for Monica. Let's get it on. Let me see who else he can fall for. Let me get some young girls around him. So I'm not really confident that Bill Clinton, has skated away unscathed. But again, maybe that reads into his body language, and maybe there's nothing there. Maybe he didn't actually totally cross that line. Maybe he is just sitting next to a little young girl in a pool, kind of crisscrossing, touching somehow. Maybe that's all there is. But to me, that doesn't make you the best witness, It just don't make you the best witness. But in any case, here we go. Let's see some more. Let's hear.
Ended years before I was there, is that the girls and women whose lives Jeffrey Epstein destroyed deserve not just justice, but healing. They've been waiting too long for both. Though my brief acquaintance with Epstein ended years before his crimes came to light, and though I never witnessed during our limited interactions any indication with what was truly going on, I offered the little I do know in the hopes that it would help prevent anything like this from ever happening again.
Did he notice Jeffrey Epstein liked to have a lot of young girls around him? Did he notice that? That's what I'm curious about. But again, that's not a crime per se. But that's why I say it doesn't make him the best witness. But I'm not saying he did anything. I'm just saying he was definitely a target of a honeypot. Whoever was running the honeypot blackmail scheme with trafficking little girls had Bill Clinton as a target. That's obvious. That's obvious. And his name was Jeffrey Epstein and Elaine Maxwell and whoever else is a part of it.
My brief acquaintance with Epstein ended years before his crimes came to light. And though I never witnessed during our limited interactions any indication with what was truly going on, I offered the little I do know in the hopes that it would help prevent anything like this from ever happening again. I also have to say something personal. Republicans may...
I did not have sexual relations with that woman. That's all I can hear in my head right now. And he has to know this is all people can hear. This is all people can hear. You know what I'm saying? It's like, it's hard to listen to Bill Clinton and hear anything else. I mean, damn, but listen, nothing will replace the fact that without any doubt whatsoever, whatever you thinketh of Bill Clinton on this matter, you must be thinking it a trillion times more about Donald Trump, because Donald Trump has little people out there saying they were little kids trafficked by him and he killed little kids. I mean, come on, Clinton is obviously a distraction, even if he failed the test. You know what I'm saying? He's obvious a distraction, but let's continue. Who knows? Fuck it. I'm not capping for Bill Clinton. I don't know. They won't release the files because they don't want people to know anything.
And though I never witnessed during our limited interactions any indication with what was truly going on, I offered the little I do know in the hopes that it would help prevent anything like this from ever happening again. I also have to say something personal. Republicans made Hillary testify yesterday, and she had nothing to do with Jeffrey Epstein, nothing. She has no memory of ever even meeting him. She neither traveled with him nor visited any of his properties.
Problem is, everybody fucking says that. And, I don't know I just don't get it. Like, don't people think like, wait a second, everyone keeps saying that, so it's probably not gonna, even if it's true, it's probably not gonna sound right to people anymore because every fucking body just says the same thing. I had no relation. I never went to his island. I never went to his island. How many times Trump say this and shit, you know? But I'm not saying Hillary Clinton did, but I mean, you know, I just it's yeah. I'm just I gotta be honest. Yeah. It's my
Republicans
feelings.
made Hillary testify yesterday,
Mm-hmm.
and she had nothing to do with Jeffrey Epstein. Nothing.
And the problem is that when you go public and you've lied to the public flat out in their face, I did not have sexual relations with that woman. People, these kind of comments never really work again. That's the problem, I think, for Bill Clinton. And I got to say, that's a real problem because why would you think it would work again? Why would you think just coming out, staring in the camera, being calm, saying the same things again will work? And I'm pretty sure Dr. G is going to tear this up, but let's continue.
She has no memory of ever even meeting him. She neither traveled with him.
Even if Hillary didn't, just the fact that he said that makes me think, is that true?
Nor visited any. That's not personal. Republicans made Hillary testify yesterday, and she had nothing to do with Jeffrey Epstein. Nothing. She has no memory of ever even meeting him. She neither traveled with him nor visited any of his properties. So whether 10 people or 10,000 people were subpoenaed, including her, was simply not right.
I'm inclined to believe she didn't. It's just Bill Clinton isn't the best witness. That's all I'm saying, you know.
So here's what I told the committee. First, I had no idea of the crimes Epstein was committing. No matter how many photos they show of me, I have two things that at the end of the day matter far more than any interpretation of 20-year-old photos. I know what I saw, and more importantly, what I didn't see. And I know what I did, and more importantly, what I didn't do.
I did not have sexual relations with that woman.
I saw nothing and I did nothing wrong. As someone who grew up in a home with domestic violence, not only would I not have flown on his plane if I had any inkling of what he was doing, I would have turned him in myself and led the call for justice for his crimes, not the sweetheart deal that we got. But even with 20/20 hindsight, I saw nothing that ever gave me real pause. We're only here today because Epstein hid it from everyone so well for so long. And by the time it came to light with his 2008 guilty plea, I had long stopped associating with it. When the video of my testimony today is released, I hope it will motivate everyone to go in front of Congress to say what they know. I hope it will motivate the Justice Department to finally release all the files and to ensure that this never happens again. The survivors deserve that.
I just gotta say, it's just I gotta give my first reaction. It's likely not gonna suffice for people that believe Bill Clinton is guilty of something here, and or hiding something, or And I don't think most of us, to be honest with y'all, we shouldn't be in the point where we have to believe anybody. We should be at the point as America, and this is no disrespect to Bill Clinton, because maybe oddly enough, it is just like he said it, even if it's weird coming from him, But I think we shouldn't be in a position where we have to believe anybody. These things are way too fucking serious. We should be wanting the files to be released so we can make our own determinations, period. At this point, there should be none of this stuff. Look, they went into a closed deposition, so we're going to hear the audio tapes soon. We're going to see video maybe soon, so there'll be more follow up on this. But just the fact of the matter is that this likely was not litigated like a criminal offense, period, like a criminal investigation. So the questions aren't likely to be that demanding. You see what I mean? The situation is not going to be that of a person like Jeffrey Epstein. You see what I mean? They're not going to question do Bill Clinton like that. You see what I mean? Ghislaine Maxwell, because they know they committed crimes. I mean, they have so many witnesses pointing them out. So, I mean, but yeah, I'm just saying, it's a congressional hearing is not the same as the FBI dragging your ass in, or anybody, or the police dragging you in and needing to know about a sex trafficking ring. You know, they're not going to handle it that way, like murder. The things that have been alleged are child sex trafficking, thousands of kids, murder of some children to cover it up, murder on Rancho Zorro, murder in Alabama, I think in Alabama, one of these southern places. So they're very heinous crimes we talking about. So, but, you know, having said that, Bill Clinton did go in. And I'm just thinking, like, he has to know this last statement about, I hope it will encourage, you know, or inspire others to come forward and say what they know. I just think, rationally speaking, he has to know, no, this is not inspiring anyone. Anyone that knows anything does not want to come forward, especially if they have something to lose. That's the whole point. That's the whole point. So him speaking is likely not going to inspire anybody to come forth and tell the truth of what they know. Not someone who is labeled as a possible co-conspirator. Now what's funny here is Congress hasn't called in the victims. I rest my case. Congress could have called in. Congress can make the same demands of these victims, and there's nothing that could be said to stop any of it. Congress has chosen not to do that. They did it in some private sessions, and they haven't released all the information. Right? I guess that's what we can say the most. Let me look into that just to make sure I got that right. They had some of the victims come in and testify. Let me see. Did Congress ever release all the victims' testimony from the private hearings? I'm just curious about that. We got to keep that in mind too. There's always that other dynamic of what the witnesses have said, right? So let's see here. Yeah, they have not been. Look, listen, as of late February 2026, the official full transcript of the Clintons' private death. No. I'm talking about the victims. What about the victims? Testimonies to Congress? Damn, why did it skip out? Oh, maybe I didn't type the whole question in. Yeah, testimonies has been cornerstone right now. Now, while the Clintons' depositions were high-profile events, survivors' testimony provided the emotional and legal impetus for the Epstein Files Transparency Act. Here is it. Okay. Invisible Chains testimony. In late 2025, several survivors, including Courtney Wild, Annie Farmer, appeared before the House lawmakers. Statements. Survivors described the system as invisible chains. Maxwell, impact. Okay. Accusations, government, cornerstone, Wild. Statements she testified. Okay. But have they all new allegations? So has it, let me ask, all been made public from the victims' side, and have all victims been invited to come? Let me see. I'm just curious about that. I think they said some of it. No, not everything has been made public. Okay, that's what I wanted to know. Not every victim has been invited to testify, but not everything has been made public of the ones that did. Okay. Public files were heavily redacted. Of that. And also then we have the other stuff from the Epstein file. So let me just continue now. I just think nothing is in this situation. People shouldn't be in a situation where they feel like they have to believe at this point. I don't think we should believe anybody. I think we should be trying to find justice. And I think you don't find justice when you believe. I don't think that's what the FBI does when they want to get to the bottom of something. I don't think that's what the police do when they want to get to the bottom of something. In fact, a lot of times it becomes like, even if someone seems believable, you have to check every single possibility to, close ranks on it, and But what I'm saying is not an indictment on Bill Clinton or Hillary Clinton. It's just an acknowledgement of their own history. Bill Clinton had the fiasco with I did not sleep with that woman. I had no sexual relations with Monica Lewinsky. That really did happen in my lifetime. I remember watching it, and the evidence was that she had a dress with his private stuff on it. You know what I mean? And and he maintained that nope, never had sexual relations with her. Don't know how she got that. And it happened in the White House, and she was his aide. So that kind of makes his testimony kind of like, it's not the best. It's not the best. And Hillary Clinton, I mean, I'm not saying she did anything either. It's just that, it's just nothing. There's nothing, it's kind of like you could say not helpful either. I haven't been around him. I don't know anything. It's not necessarily helpful testimony. And I'm not saying she has more to say, but I just mean I don't think it's gonna. I don't think going and interviewing them was really what needed to happen first. I'll put it to you that way. But in any case, now that they're out of the way, somebody said in the chat, now we can interview Melania, right? And we can interview Trump, right? Yeah, maybe, except the Republicans likely are not going to have it, so let's go on. Now, I found something else. Guess who did a reaction to this already? Mr. G did. Mr. G gave his reaction to Hillary Clinton's body language, and I'm pretty sure he's going to do it on Bill Clinton's body language too. And this is a little bit of what I mean. So let's peep game and see what it sounds like here. Let me see. Chris says, I disagree. Bill lied about the BJ to avoid his wife. I don't know. Maybe. I don't know. I don't know how they relate. Different marriages are different, man. Some people have open marriages and open understandings, and not that it has to be blatant or or obvious to everyone, or some people not even open. Some people might be having relations and their partners know about it and just choose to say, all right, fuck it, we've been together for so long, I'm not going to make an issue. At least I know what's going on. And things can be complicated, but I'm not trying to say I know anything about what happened regarding the Clintons or why. I'm not claiming to know, right? That's kind of like their private business. But there was one thing that came up that I find more interesting. It's not about whether, of course you're a married man and you with someone else. Okay. Possibly that's their business. But what I find the problem to be, of course, I don't think that's cool. I think married men need to keep it in the pants, like straight up. That's what I think. Stop being married and doing these things. Like, that's what I think. It's a problem with you. But he having been basically caught with Monica Lewinsky, I think the real issue here is that it's an aid, man. Come on, you're not supposed to be messing with people you work with, bro. Like, that should not be a norm. Does that happen sometimes? Probably, yeah. It probably happens sometimes, and it may not be, issue. It could be an issue of two people just work together for a long time and then they end up liking each other or having personal feelings for each other. That's different. This is Monica fucking Lewinsky, man. This is an aide, an intern. You know what I'm saying? Like, come on. Like, you're not supposed to be screwing that damn interns, man. That's not supposed to happen. That's what I find very troubling there, and Bill Clinton did it. So my question is, if you couldn't keep it in the pants then, how could you keep it in the pants later? What's the point in keeping it in the pants later? I'm not saying that I don't know the ages of all those people in the pictures, but if you couldn't keep it in the pants then, what's the point in keeping it in the pants later, man? You know what I'm saying? If you haven't changed, what's the point in keeping it in the pants, man? You know what I'm saying? If you didn't keep it in the pants before. I mean, I just think it's, to me, when you have a guy sitting there in a pool with pictures and stuff like that, he's just not, I'm sorry, he's just not the most believable one, especially in an Epstein case. You know what I'm saying? Especially in a case where you are a target. Like they said, I got the president here, man. Bring all the girls you got. We gonna get his ass. You know, and they went out and did it, and he's just like, it didn't work on you? You sure it didn't work on you? You sure, Bill Clinton? Okay, maybe it didn't. Who knows? I don't know if it did. But in any case, let's move on to Hillary Clinton real quick, because she has some body language and statements to offer here, according to Dr. G. And thank you, Dr. G, for always coming through on this angle, because, you know, people are entitled, if we're going to speculate and we don't have the files released, at least we could do, the very least we could do is have some body language experts, you know, come in there and give their opinions about what they think is going on, you know. So let's see what he had to say here. Let's go.
Hey everybody, Dr. G here. I'm a clinical and forensic psychologist as well as a body language expert, and today we're going to be analyzing the behavior and body language of Hillary Clinton. Before we get started with this, couple of quick things. One, I wanted to make sure you know this is not a psychological evaluation of any kind. These are just my opinions. In addition to that, I do want to remind you to like and subscribe if you want to see more content just like this. All right, let's go. What we're going to be analyzing today is Hillary Clinton when she's meeting the press after her deposition. We will be analyzing her deposition once it's released, but in the meantime, we're going to go ahead and see what the behavior and body language says during this. I do want you to keep in mind the goal of this is to be neutral, and I will tell you exactly what I'm seeing body language-wise. I do that on either sides of the political aisle. All right, let's just jump right in.
Well, I have just finished testifying. I answered every one of their questions as fully as I could.
We're already seeing some real body language here. Now, there's a couple of things I want you to keep in mind before I point this out. Hillary Clinton is very good at public speaking. She's very, very practiced at this. So she's going to be very good at hiding how she actually feels. But there's always some kind of leakage. It doesn't matter who you are. So I'm going to point those things out right now.
I have just finished testifying. I answered every one of their questions as...
You see right here, when she says, I answered every one of their questions, she looks down, she shakes her head. She's emphasizing it, but she's not doing it facing the press. She's somebody that's very comfortable with eye contact. She's somebody that's very comfortable speaking directly at people. So when she does this, this shows a lack of confidence. She is not confident that she adequately answered every question. Watch this right here.
I have just finished testifying. I answered every one of their questions.
So every one of their questions. With the way that she speaks, I do have a good baseline with her. I've seen her speak plenty of times before. She would be much more direct if she felt confident in that answer.
As fully as I could.
So we're already seeing more concerning behavior. She said, as fully as I could. You see her go back a little bit, eyes closed. She doesn't want to see the reactions of the press because she's concerned that she's not going to be believed. So right here, we're already seeing a lot of defensive body language. And she's very practiced at public speaking. So you really have to pay very close attention. Something I want you to pay attention to is any ums or ahs.
You know, it's like, you know, here's the thing. Given her husband's background, and again, everyone saw him make statements about Monica Lewinsky. That is the base fact, right? So just because even if you conclude that she is lying, it doesn't tell you why it is. I mean, she may not feel believable just because of what her husband had done. You know what I'm saying? Like, she may know nobody's going to fucking believe me, even if I'm innocent. You see what I mean? So that could be bleeding through what she's saying too. Like, but the bottom line is that there's another fact base here, a base fact. You did see her look down, and you did see her say like this. So, I mean, she said one thing. She didn't look straight forward. She looked down, and she turned her head like that. So that's what you saw. So I'm not saying that she is lying for any particular reason. You know, it's up to other people to decide that what they believe. Again, what you believe, I don't think American people should have to rely on belief, because again, they have the Epstein files. They have not released them. It is law to release them. They have failed to follow the law because for a specific reason. Okay. They failed to follow the law knowing that they're covering up vital information that would lead the public to better understand what is happening. Okay, those things are not at anyone's disposal. Those are just facts. So, you know, but let's please, you can't admit Hillary is a liar. What are you talking about, Mark? I don't have any clue what you're talking about. you're suggesting that someone can't admit it. I don't know. I just said something totally different. Can you admit what I just said? How about that? Start there. Admit what I just said. Okay. I just said whatever, even if she is lying about it, the question of why could still be up to question, and I would suggest that she could be lying because her husband has already lied to the public, and she might know nobody's going to believe her anyway because of her husband. How about that? Maybe she's lying because she knows no one's going to believe her, but it doesn't mean she's lying about knowing something. That's all I'm saying. It could be, but the way that you find out what she's lying about, if you believe she's lying, 100%, the easiest way to find out is release the Epstein files. And if you don't trust her, why would you be satisfied with just her testimony? Why wouldn't you demand that the Epstein files be released because you don't trust her? And why would you leave any of this up to trust at all regarding any human being involved in the Epstein files? These things are so goddamn serious. If you're satisfied with what you trust, something is wrong with you. You're not recognizing the moment that the United States is in. Forget whether you like any of them. Stop trusting any of them. You don't have to. They're not your family members. They're just politicians. Get it straight. You shouldn't have to rely on trust. Who the fuck does that in a democracy? That only stupid people do that. Now, I'm not saying again she did anything. I'm saying the fact that you're happy with just trust, or she's a liar or she's not, I ain't happy with that. I want the files released. I can't make any real determination without the files being released. I would have to make the overall determination, which is sad, but I don't want to do that. But let's see. Let's go back. Let's listen to some more of Dr. G, and let's let the facts speak for themselves.
Dr. G here. I'm a clinical and forensic psychologist as well as a body language expert, and today we're going to be analyzing the behavior and body language of Hillary Clinton. Before we get started with this, couple of quick things. One, I wanted to make sure you know this is not a psychological evaluation of any kind.
I see you, Chris.
These are just my opinions. In addition to that, I do want to remind you to like and subscribe if you want to see more content just like this. All right, let's go. What we're going to be analyzing today is Hillary Clinton when she's meeting the press after her deposition. We will be analyzing her deposition once it's released, but in the meantime, we're going to go ahead and see what the behavior and body language says during this. I do want you to keep in mind the goal of this is to be neutral, and I will tell you exactly what I'm seeing body language-wise. I do that on either sides of the political aisle. All right, let's just jump right in.
Well, I have just finished testifying. I answered every one of their questions as fully as I could.
We're already seeing some real body language here. Now, there's a couple of things I want you to keep in mind before I point this out. Hillary Clinton is very good at public speaking. She's very, very practiced at this. So she's going to be very good at hiding how she actually feels. But there's always some kind of leakage. Doesn't matter who you are. So I'm going to point those things out right now.
I have just finished testifying. I answered every one of their questions as...
You see right here, when she says I answered every one of their questions, she looks down, she shakes her head. She's emphasizing it, but she's not doing it facing the press. She's somebody that's very comfortable with eye contact. She's somebody that's very comfortable speaking directly at people. So when she does this, this shows a lack of confidence. She is not confident that she adequately answered every question. Watch this right here.
I have just finished testifying. I answered every one of their questions.
So every one of their questions. With the way that she speaks, I do have a good baseline with her. I've seen her speak plenty of times before. She would be much more direct if she felt confident in that answer.
As fully as I could.
So we're already seeing more concerning behavior. She said as fully as I could. You see her go back a little bit, eyes closed. She doesn't want to see the reactions of the press because she's concerned that she's not going to be believed. So right here, we're already seeing a lot of defensive body language, and she's very practiced at public speaking. So you really have to pay very close attention. Something I want you to pay attention to is any ums or uhs. For people like her, if you're hearing ums or uhs, it's always worth paying attention to because she is so practiced at public speaking.
Fully as I could. based on what I knew, and what I knew is what I said in my statement this morning.
You're hearing lots of uhs as she's speaking. She is not the kind of person who should have ums and uhs when she is speaking. So this shows a lack of confidence in what she's saying. This actually shows some anxiety here, even though she doesn't overtly appear to be anxious. So we're seeing a lot under the surface. I know I'm pausing a lot, but there's a ton right here at the beginning, and I want to make sure you.
I mean, the bottom line is that if it's just an issue of Bill Clinton cheating on her, or Bill Clinton falling for this honeypot scheme with Jeffrey Epstein, she hasn't been identified as being present with Bill Clinton when those things were happening. So it is kind of weird for a woman to have to answer questions about her man. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't really know. You know what I'm saying? Like, come on. I mean, you can believe him, but you don't really know if you're not there. And I would just have to say, I could see if that might be why she's having some difficulty figuring out why she's there. Because it's like, she can't really tell you what Bill Clinton did, right? She can't tell you, because what most of these situations in these men, you could see it's like the women aren't around often when this is going on, their wives. I mean, so I don't know.
Catch all of it.
Again, relationships and marriages can be very different. Whether men are telling their wives everything in their marriage, whether women are telling men everything in their marriage, what they think or what's going on, you don't really know.
Because if you see these same things repeated throughout, you'll know what you're seeing.
I never met Jeffrey Epstein, never had any connection or communication with him. I knew Ghislaine Maxwell casually.
So many uhs.
I never met Jeffrey.
But it's like I don't know if she's even seeing this herself. But look at this. She does have a habit of like looking down when she says key things. Like, look at this. And look, she looks down when she says Ghislaine Maxwell's name. She doesn't look forward when she says, I've only met Ghislaine Maxwell casually. No, she doesn't look confident saying that. Like,
Jeffrey Epstein, never had any connection or communication with him. I knew Ghislaine Maxwell casually.
You see how she looked down? You see what I mean? It's not just the blinking. She looked down when she said that. Like, so it just makes me wonder, like, has she met her casually, or more than just casually? I mean, it just makes me wonder if she can even remember, or,
Jeffrey Epstein, never had any connection or communication with him. I knew Ghislaine Maxwell casually.
So many uhs. I never met Jeffrey Epstein. This is just not how somebody like Hillary Clinton typically speaks. And I get it. She's been deposed for hours on end. So this is after a long day. But we are seeing signs of deception.
I never met Jeffrey Epstein, never had any connection or communication with him. I knew.
You can also tell the way she's looking. She continues to move around in very specific patterns as she's speaking. Watch this right here.
This morning. I never met Jeffrey Epstein, never had any connection or communication.
Oh, P wants the Discord.
So she was
okay. I see. Yeah, let me drop the Discord. I'll do that.
looking at different people in the press. She was looking at different journalists as she says this, but it was too uncomfortable. So you see her look up afterwards. She should not be communicating this way. It's very unusual for her. So the reason that looking up matters is that it's too uncomfortable to actually look at all of the various people in the press, because I believe from the way it appears so far is that she's being deceptive, and there's some discomfort about what if I'm not believed.
What I said in my statement this morning. I never met Jeffrey Epstein, never had any connection or communication with him. I knew.
Her eyes are moving around an awful lot. She typically is much steadier.
Ghislaine Maxwell casually as an acquaintance, but whatever.
And then after she talked about Ghislaine Maxwell, she looks down, a loss of confidence again. She's more concerned about the Maxwell connection than the Epstein connection, actually. That seems pretty clear. So as we're seeing her talk about Maxwell, that is something that hits her differently. She's uncomfortable with both, but she's more uncomfortable with Maxwell.
connection or communication with him. I knew Ghislaine Maxwell casually as an acquaintance. But whatever they asked me, I did my very best to.
You see her looking down immediately after she basically says, I told them everything I knew. There's a loss of confidence there. She knows that she's not going to be believed about this.
I knew Ghislaine Maxwell casually as an acquaintance. But whatever they asked me, I did my very best to respond.
Yeah, I mean, I just have to say, it's my personal view is that, again, this is not an indictment on her or anything like that. But again, she is a politician and she has her own personal history. It's not mine to carry, and it's not mine to make justifications for, But and also, she's not a public official anymore. I don't believe, right? But the thing is that she does not, in my view, seem confident in what she's saying, and it's like repeatedly not confident in what she's saying. And of course, that's hyperbole. No one really knows, because if you don't have the Epstein files released, you can't prove anything at all. That's the whole point of not releasing the Epstein files, so that you don't have any proof, any real way to make a judgment. You're left to belief. And I believe that's factually a crime being committed against the American people right now. The fact that we are left to just go with our belief of anyone. Fuck belief. The situation is way too serious for that. When the IRS asks you, did you pay your taxes? They're not asking, do they believe you? Look at you. Well, she seemed believable. No, they're going to go through all your goddamn records. That's what they're going to do. And then they're going to punish you if you're lying. That's what they're going to do. So, yeah.
It was disappointing that they.
Have you ever Googled your own name?
Okay, let's get past this, because that's his commercial there. Here we go. Let's see here. Get through this one. Yo, Pete, I dropped the link. So, yeah. So click on the link, and I should be able to see you in a second.
Now, one thing that we're not seeing right here, and I think this is significant, I've pointed this out before with other people. Pam Bondi, for example, I've talked about how she doesn't raise her eyebrows to bring emphasis to her face. And the Pam Bondi example, by the way, I got plenty of people commenting, well, she has Botox, so she can't raise her eyebrows, which is absolutely not true. She absolutely can. Even if you've had work done, even if you had Botox, you can still lift your eyebrows. I've seen her do it. So for anybody who's saying, well, maybe it's work that Hillary Clinton's had done, it wouldn't prevent her from moving her eyebrows at all. And the reason that matters is that when we really feel strongly about something, like I'm probably doing right now, we lift our eyebrows up. We want people to pay attention to our face. As she says all of this, she does not want you to pay that much attention to her face. And that's a problem when you're trying to convince people of the truth. She's struggling her way through the beginning part right here, and she doesn't really want you to be paying attention to what she's saying. But watch the eyebrows. If there are things where she does raise her eyebrows, that will be important, because she's not doing it at all right now.
Differences that no rules would be broken going forward, and we returned to answer questions repetitively, literally over and over.
There you go. See, now there's the eyebrow raise.
Broken going forward, and we returned to answer questions repetitively, literally.
See, repetitively, and closed her eyes. We close our eyes when we hear things we don't like. I've mentioned that before. And so eyebrows up, eyes closed, they were repetitive, and she doesn't like that. That's something she actually wants you to hear. So when she wants to emphasize, she can do it, but she wasn't doing it earlier when she was saying, I didn't know Jeffrey Epstein, I don't know Ghislaine Maxwell. This is significant, because if she was feeling strongly about that, like she's feeling strongly about this, you would have seen it on her face. If she really wanted you to pay attention to what she was saying, she would have been doing this instead.
Okay, so let me ask this. Put a 1 in the chat if you believe Hillary Clinton. If you don't believe Hillary Clinton, it doesn't matter what you don't believe about her. If you don't believe her for any reason whatsoever, put a 2 in the chat based on what you see here. And the same thing, if you believe her, it doesn't matter what you believe her about. But if you believe her based on what is right here, put a 1 in the chat. I'm just curious about that. And, for me, I'm going to be honest with you. She is not that confident in her statements, especially in this situation, because I know if I would be fucking accused of having anything to do with fucking Jeffrey Epstein, you would really hear how pissed off I am about it. You would hear it. like there's some things that you just have to knock down confidently. And criminal activity involving children, I believe, is one of those things you really need to knock down. Like, of course, it's a hassle having to come in, but it depends on how you see it. I mean, if it gives you the opportunity to be in front of the camera and say, "Are you out of your goddamn mind?" Because that's exactly what the fuck I'm going to say. Are you out of your fucking mind? But obviously, she's got another way of handling this, and that's okay. That's her way. She's the only person that has to deal with that, not me. I'm not associated with Hillary Clinton. I voted for Barack Obama. I didn't vote for Hillary Clinton. I never voted for Trump, although me not voting for Hillary, you could argue that anyway, even though I'm from D.C. So, you know what I mean? I'm a Democrat myself, but I just don't like dynasties. So I don't support dynasties. If you had Michelle Obama run, I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't vote for her. I see politics different from a lot of Americans. A lot of Americans are happy and fine with a small group of people controlling politics and controlling money. That's not the type of American I am. And a lot of Americans settle for it. That's not the type of American I am. And it's not an indictment on Hillary Clinton. It's just a practical way that I move. I think it's very dangerous to start having a small group of people concentrate power, whether it's economic or political. So let me see here. Yeah, some people don't. Some people I see. Hold on now. Let's make sure everybody got in there. I saw too many people aren't comfortable with one or two. That's why I asked that question, because listen, it's a both-way dialogue. It's two-way dialogue. Just remember that. It's two-way dialogue, It's two-way dialogue. I get to ask you some questions, and you get to answer them too, especially if I'm going to read your comment and answer some of your questions. Okay? Can anyone state the lies she told? Remember, Trump is not a valid source. Let me see. Did Mark answer my question? Mark, you put a 1. Okay. 1, she has rarely ever lied. Okay. I don't know if she's rarely ever lied, Mark. And I don't even care, to be honest with you. It's not, to me, it's not about has she ever lied. It's really about what is it about? What is she lying about? I can't cap for her personal character, as I don't know her personally. I've never met her personally. There's no way for me to know, my friend. But from what I expect from politicians and, people involved, I would say that this is definitely, seems to me to be a blockade to Trump. Still, no matter whether you believe her or not, it seems like the logical way that I see it is that Trump has been mentioned more times in the Epstein files than any other living human being that ever has on earth outside of Epstein. And so whatever this is about, it's obvious a block. Like, they know that there's a certain percentage of the population that is just stuck on Hillary Clinton, period. And it's because they've been told that she's been drinking baby blood on Epstein Island. They've been told from QAnon. They've been told from the dark web. They've seen these little black and white videos of a lady from the back that had a hairstyle like Hillary Clinton at that time. And they just like, it was fucking Hillary Clinton who did it. I'm just saying, this is what they're thinking. So, of course, you can't tell if that's Hillary Clinton because it's from the back. And of course, it's not it could be fucking anybody. It could be Mary Poppins and shit. You know what I'm saying? These motherfuckers. But the fact remains, they are stuck on that, and they just don't want to hear anything else, period. Hillary fucking did it, okay? Now, that's different. If she did something like that, that's pretty bad. But maybe it's just some other uncomfortable reasons that she's having too. And I'm open to that also. That's what I'm saying. It's not an indictment on her. But I'm not capping for her. She's a politician. I have no personal debt to her. Okay? In democracies, we hire and fire politicians all the fucking time. Get used to it. You know what I'm saying? Come on now, American people, get used to it. It's your tax dollars. Get used to it. Hire and fire. Stop trying to befriend these people. Okay. What the fuck? You know what I'm saying? Stop trying to act like they're your best friends and shit. You know what I'm saying? They're not. Okay. They're there to do a job for you. Serve. And the moment you're tired of their ass, and not even really tired, you could just be a little bit tired. You just get a new one. Okay. That's what democracies are all about. Now, let me just check and see if Pete hopped up. I don't see you, Pete. Yeah, but sometimes it takes people a second to get in the count. Now let's go on. Let's go on.
Because we can't help but do that. Look at what I'm telling you. This is so important. So to her, how I was treated was what's important. The content, forget what we talked about.
Forward, and we returned to answer questions repetitively, literally over and over again. I don't know how many times.
You see, and now you're seeing head movements with that. When we're really trying to emphasize, we tend to move our body. That goes to show what she really wants you to hear. When we're really being emphatic, when we really have something to say, that's when we move like this. So
that's the part where she's confident. And that's the part where she's telling you that she is tired of being asked about this over and over again. So that could be interpreted. That's what he's saying. That would be interpreted as true, right? So
the first time we've seen anything that she really wants you to listen to.
Repetitively, literally over and over again.
Okay. He's saying that's what she's really feeling. Yeah, this is what she wants you to hear because it's real. She's saying it confidently. Obviously, I wouldn't want to be asked about this over and over again, and she has been. You know what I'm saying? She has been.
Something to say. That's when we move like this. So this is the first time we've seen anything that she really wants you to listen to.
Repetitively, literally over and over again. I don't know how many times I had to say I did not know Jeffrey Epstein. I never.
See, you heard a laugh, and you also didn't see the eyebrows go up when she said, I didn't know Jeffrey Epstein. There was a chuckle behind it. That shows some discomfort with this.
I don't know how many times I had to say I did not know Jeffrey Epstein. I never went to his island. I never went to his homes. I never went to his offices. So it's on the record numerous times. It then got, at the end, quite unusual because I started being asked about UFOs and a series of questions about Pizzagate, one of the most vile, bogus conspiracy theories that was propagated on the internet, that was surfaced.
So you can see what bothers her about this. So she's pretty aggressive about the whole Pizzagate thing when she says it was propagated on the internet. That dynamic of it, that does seem to bother her. That doesn't make it true, but it does seem to get to her.
That was propagated on the internet. That was serving as a base.
Exactly. It doesn't make it true, and she could be bothered by it, even if it's not true. And that's what I was trying to explain, even if she doesn't seem like she's telling her feelings or her words are the most honest at all times, doesn't necessarily mean it's for the reasons some people might think it's for. You see what I mean? That's all. Because again, I'm just saying the facts. She is Bill Clinton's wife. She is Bill Clinton's wife. She is being called to account for Bill Clinton's behavior pretty much here. Bill Clinton has been seen in the Epstein files with photographs. Bill Clinton with a little girl next to him, or a young girl, or a young lady, whichever one it is, because it's blocked out. We don't know, right? But a young person. He's been in these pictures with Epstein. Hillary Clinton has not. But although Maxwell was at her daughter's wedding, right? Isn't that right? Maxwell was at her daughter's wedding. Now, that's worth noting. But the other thing is that still most of this is about her having to make up for her husband's activities. And she's already gone through this. I mean, when the Monica Lewinsky thing happened, she was out there having to, they wanted to know what she thought. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, that's really, how would she know? What's the assumption that she would know about that? What's the assumption that she could defend his actions if she's not there, or if she doesn't know much about it? And I think it's fair enough to be kind of always called as a woman to defend your man. I think that's kind of weird. You know what I mean? And I think it has happened. This is part of the misogyny in the U.S., always just trying to they did the same thing with Kamala Harris. I mean, they got so mad about Kamala Harris, they made some shit up about her great grandfather being a slave master in Jamaica, which is not true, right? But they had to make something up. They went that far because she's a woman. That's how far they went. You see what I mean? And all right, let me drop a new link. I see the other one didn't work. I'll drop a new one, no doubt. So I'm just saying all of that because her being uncomfortable or whatever's going on, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's for the reasons some people might want it to be. I can't vouch for the reasons, I can't vouch for the reasons. So, but in any case, let's go on.
Questions to me. So I can only.
And you can see this facial expression right here. This is a sign of disapproval.
Members' questions to me.
That right there is a look of disapproval. Eyes closed, look of disapproval. The fact she was asked about that, she's insulted by. She did not like having to answer questions about Pizzagate.
No Republican member asked any questions about Jeffrey Epstein or Ghislaine Maxwell to anyone else they have deposed. And in fact, the Republican...
You notice all the ums and ahs are gone now. She's speaking very clearly. This is more what we would expect. So when she's talking about relationships with Maxwell and Epstein, when she's talking about the questions she answered, lots of hesitation, ums, ahs, lots of discomfort. When she's talking about the fact that no Republicans came and asked questions to Les Wexner and all this, very comfortable and confident here. So you're seeing two very different Hillary Clintons when she's talking about different subjects. And that's really what we emphasize when it comes to body languages. What are the differences? When is she calm versus when is she uncomfortable?
To anyone else they have deposed. And in fact, the Republican members didn't even show up for the deposition of Les Wexner.
Okay, so right there.
Members didn't
okay, regardless of whether you like Hillary Clinton or not, right? Or believe her or not, are you satisfied with the fact that Republicans did not show up to question others, right, about Epstein? You see what I mean? Did you hear what she just said? I'm going to play that one more time, and then you tell me if you're satisfied, if you're okay with that, because that is a fact.
Cause lots of discomfort when she's talking about the fact that no Republicans came and asked questions to Les Wexner and all this.
Right. Are you happy with that? Are you happy that no Republicans asked Lex Wexner any questions? Put a 1 in the chat. If you've commented in the chat, put a 1 in the chat if you're happy with that. If you're okay with no Republican questioning Les Wexner in the private deposition. If you're okay with that, put a 1. If you're not okay with that, put a 2. I'm just curious because I like to qualify other people's statements and based on what they say here. Sensation, you two. Put a 1 in the chat if you're happy with the fact that Republicans did not show up to ask Les Wexner anything. Put a 2 in the chat if you're not happy with that. I'm just curious about that. I'm gonna put a 2 in the chat. I'm not happy with that about that. Ain't no two different people in the same person can laugh or cry. Okay, so what do you think about that? Sensation 100. I'm not happy with that. I think why not? Why wouldn't they? If they question her, why wouldn't you question Les Wexner? That's an obvious question, right? Isn't there obvious bias there? Isn't this like a witch hunt? And you know what I'm saying? I think it's to me it just leads to witch hunt. Like what the fuck does Hillary Clinton? She's not in a picture. She's not in one picture standing with Jeffrey Epstein. She's not. You know what I'm saying? So what's this all about? She's not in the jacuzzi with a little girl. You know what I'm saying? So what's this about? I mean, it's one thing to have Bill Clinton in there, but I think it's a little weird. It's just a little weird. It's very weird to have her up here, I think. But again, I'm not saying I'm not capping for anything else about it because I don't believe it's my job to. She was a public civil servant. She's an elected official. She's paid by the taxpayers to the benefit of every single taxpayer and citizen in the United States of America, period. That's her only job. That's Trump's only job, to make every single American's life better. That's the only reason why you pay them tax dollars at all. Anything else needs to get the fuck out. at all times. That's my view of it. Regardless what party you are, any of your rhetoric, anything. You see, so I just find it a little weird that they got her there asking her about. It's like, man, there's so many other people. Look, Trump's wife was Epstein's girlfriend. They saying, wouldn't she know all about it? You know what I'm saying? Instead, I mean, Hillary Clinton wasn't Epstein's girlfriend. Hillary Clinton didn't work for Epstein. Hillary Clinton didn't get a visa because of Epstein. You know, it's just at some point it's just
very
ridiculous.
Comfortable and confident here. So you're seeing two very different Hillary Clintons when she's talking about different subjects, and that's really what we emphasize when it comes to body languages. What are the differences? When is she calm versus when is she uncomfortable?
To anyone else they have deposed. And in fact, the Republican members didn't even show up for the deposition of Les Wexner.
You spoke in your opening remarks about how heartbroken you have been for the Epstein survivors as these files have come out. Can you talk to us a little bit about how you have processed and reacted to the fact that the former president, your husband, Bill Clinton, is referenced in the Epstein files numerous times, including in some photos featuring women?
Now, after Bill Clinton's name is brought up, after actually when she first says your husband, you're seeing the blink rate pick up. Her blinking becomes slower, but she's doing it more frequently. So she's trying to get through these questions. There are some real feelings coming up as this is being asked.
To the fact that the former president, your husband, Bill Clinton, is referenced in the Epstein files numerous times, including in some photos featuring women. And how have you...
So she's nodding this whole time to make...
It's uncomfortable, though, because, again, she's asking to account for Bill Clinton's behavior, you know. And that's just, you know, that's personal. That's kind of personal foul to gain points. You know what I mean? But it's not going to lead you to the crime of Jeffrey Epstein, I don't think, you know, and what was going on. You know what I mean? It could indicate that her and Bill have had ups and downs in their relationships and issues with trust or whatever, you know. But outside of that, I don't think it could lead to somewhere else. Yeah, I don't, it just doesn't seem like it does, you know. To me, overall, it seems like it's just being uncomfortable being fucking asked about your husband's activities, you know. It almost seems like she knows Epstein because of Bill Clinton, basically.
Feelings coming up as this is being asked.
The fact that the former president, your husband, Bill Clinton, is referenced in the Epstein files numerous times, including in some photos.
Okay, I think I see Pete.
So she's nodding this.
Pete, is yours God Family Country? Is that your sign? Let me see if I can get Pete in here. I see him here, so let me try to get him on it. Is it there? Yeah, let me let this run. I'll try to get him up.
This whole time to make sure that people know that she's listening. This is trained body language. This is what politicians do. So after his name's brought up, you're seeing the blink rate pick up, which suggests a certain level of discomfort, and that suggests stress.
You've been personally preparing for the deposition that is coming tomorrow. Are you 100% confident that there isn't anything that the former president knows about Epstein's crimes?
All right, I think it's Pete here. Let me get Pete up here. Yo, Pete, is that you? Hello? Yeah, I guess Pete didn't.
Hello?
Yeah, Pete, you there? I heard you for a second, Pete, but you went out. Let me see. Let me just make sure here. Yeah, for some reason I didn't see Pete. Yo,
Hello?
Pete. Yeah, Pete, you're there. I can hear you. Can you hear me? I don't think Pete can hear me. Let me just check yeah, Pete, can you hear me? I'm not sure why that is. Why can't Pete hear me? Let me see something here.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me? Pete, can you hear me? I don't think he can hear me. Why is that? Let me see here. That's weird. No, he should be hearing me. Okay. Pete, you can't hear? All right, let me do one other thing. I will just see. 2 seconds, Pete. Let me try to work this out while I let this play.
I am, and I think the chronology of the connection that he had with Epstein ended several years before anything about.
All right, so she raised her eyebrows and starts talking about the chronology. So that if you're going to want to know what Bill Clinton's going to talk about, that's going to be their focus. Clearly, they've already talked about this. So the chronology of things, that's what she wants you to think about.
Connection that he had with Epstein ended several years before anything about Epstein's criminal activities came to light. And
there's the ums and ahs again. I don't normally focus on this much because we don't normally hear it this much from public speakers. So it really is notable that whenever really difficult subjects come up, when the hard questions are asked, she is struggling to get through them. But we can assume that the chronology of how things went down, that's a big emphasis for Hillary Clinton. That's exactly what we're going to see Bill Clinton talk about.
And that he was charged and sadly given a sweetheart deal, which, as I said in my statement, had that not happened, perhaps his predatory behavior could have been stopped earlier. But I think it is fair to say that the vast majority of people who had contact with him before his criminal pleas
Hello?
in 2008.
Yeah, okay, Pete, you there? Can you hear me? Pete, you can't hear me. Okay, there must be something going on here. Let me see. 2 seconds. I don't know why that is. Check 1 2. Mic test. Okay, hold on. Let's see here. Pete, can you hear me now? Pete, can you hear me? Check 1. Pete, can you hear me? I think he's timing. Yeah, you can hear me, right?
I can hear you now. Yeah, that's good.
Okay, there you go. What's on your mind, Pete? How's everything? Thanks for
Hey,
hopping out.
everything is cool.
Okay.
I appreciate you guys having me. Yeah, everything is copacetic.
Where are you from,
Just
Pete?
I
What part of the country are you from?
originally from Jersey.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah, originally from Jersey. Patterson, New Jersey.
All right, Patterson, New Jersey. What's up, man? What's on your mind, Pete? Come on, let's hear it.
Well, just listening to the show, and I like that you guys have like a body language analyst who can sort of critique little things that Hillary does and stuff. I believe most politicians were involved in some deviant sexual activity.
Okay.
However, um, like either cheating on their wives or multiple sexcapades and whatnot. However, when it comes to Hillary Clinton and a lot of the upper echelon of the political realm, that's when I think it gets a little weird. If you look at John Podesta, who, I believe Hillary Clinton's campaign manager, you go and see the tour that he gave of his house, and you're able to see the paintings and the statues. All of it is eerily disgusting.
Oh,
it's
you mean
weird.
you talking about Epstein's house?
No. This is John Podesta.
Oh,
This is her
really?
campaign manager. I'm not even talking about. Yeah, I'm not even talking about Epstein. Yeah, if you
Oh,
go and
okay.
you see the tour of his house and the so-called abstract art that he has hanging up and just around, like it's eerie.
Okay.
You get a very strange feeling that comes over you when you're watching it.
Okay.
And so if she's involved with somebody, like if you look at the emails, his emails leaked, and they're all mentioning something to do with pizza. Would you like me to bring you like a half-eaten pizza or a half-baked pizza? So all of that's talking in code. I'm not a conspiracist, but I'm a realist, and I can put two and two together. And I don't think it's coincidental, that all of the politicians, all of these people that are involved in these erroneous affairs, are all talking in the same code. All of them are using this so-called pizza terminology. So for her to just go out outrightly and deny it, she's not being honest. I really don't think most politicians are honest. I think Trump has given us the biggest portion of honesty in my opinion. I think he's, he may be a little crude, but I think
Okay.
he's
So
honest.
why do you think Trump is being more honest?
He doesn't sugarcoat things when he speaks. He seems to have, I don't know. He seems to have a way in which he expresses himself genuinely. He's not a polished politician. He doesn't know how to use the words, of most politicians, or phrasal idioms, or how he puts his sentences together. He doesn't speak like that. He speaks off of the cuff.
Okay, but does that mean he's good? Does that mean, like, in other words, to be a sociopathist rapist of kids and and a lying son of a bitch, do you have to be a politician to do that? I'm just curious about
You're
that.
saying you're saying Trump raped kids?
I'm saying he's been accused of it. Yeah, he's been accused of raping a
It doesn't
boy. He's
matter
been
when
accused.
people.
No, what I'm saying
A
is
lot of
that
people can say a lot of things.
no, but what I'm saying
It's
is
not
this.
true.
No, but what I'm saying is that how he speaks, not speaking like a politician, does it mean he can't be a
Yeah.
lying son of a bitch? That's what I'm saying. Just the fact that he doesn't speak like a politician. Is that what you're saying?
No, no. What I'm
Okay. All right.
saying
That's all I
is
want to make sure of. All right. Okay.
you can still be a liar even though you don't speak like a politician.
You could be a
But what I'm saying
rapist.
for
You could
Trump,
be a rapist and not speak about. You could be a sex trafficker and not speak about a politician. You could be a billionaire who wants to kill people like you, Pete, and not speak like a politician, right? I mean, Trump's not a he has no history in politics, but to be a scumbag, shit, I know what that could be like. All scumbags don't want to be politicians. Some scumbags think politicians are joke because they have too many restraints on them.
but that's conflating two different. That's actually straw manning the argument. We're juxtapositioning Trump's so-called genuine appeal, where he doesn't sound like a politician. He speaks off of the cuff, and I find that more honest than somebody who gives me, so-called political aphorisms and whatnot.
Right, but
I
I'm not
find,
debating. I'm not debating how you find it. I'm not debating how you find his speaking to you because that's a personal thing, right? I'm just saying. I'm asking you why you find his speaking the way that he speaks an affirmation that he's not a lying son of a bitch. That's what I'm saying. What is it about the way he speaks that gives you the affirmation of his actions?
because he tells you straightforward what he's going to do. You would have to point me to instances where he lied. I'm not talking about exaggerate.
He's lied all to your face, bro. He's lied
I'm
everywhere.
not.
He's lied to everybody,
I'm
man.
not talking about. Well, I'm not talking about in an exaggeratory sense because people take his words.
He said he
and
was
they
okay. What did Trump help me out, y'all, in the chat? What did Trump lie about? What did Trump say? Day one. How many times did he say day one? Ukraine, day one. No more foreign wars, day one. What else? Aren't those lies?
That's not a lie. Those are not lies. For time change, if you tell me you are trying to build capital, you're no longer going to spend money on frivolous things, right? And you go out and you buy something that's so-called considered frivolous. Does that make you a liar?
But Trump,
First, I would have to check.
No, Pete. He never used the word. Pete, you're more
Okay.
intellectual and articulate than Trump. He never used the word frivolous. What are you talking about? He hasn't used the word frivolous. What do you mean?
But
frivolous?
you said he lies.
He
So
said
I'm looking
day
at
one.
the time.
He said day one. All right.
Day one.
Listen, here, because I don't want to go through. I can't go through the whole list of things that people say are lies, and they're documented lies. But here, how many times has Trump been documented lying? And it's just going to pull up all the public statements that he's lied about, And I mean, I'm just saying, again, I'm not capping for Bill Clinton. Anybody who's knows me, comes to this podcast, knows I've said it time and time again. But people also know that I'm not capping for any politician. However, when we look into what they're doing, we have to just go by what the facts say, And it says here, look, according to long-running trackers like Washington Post Fact Checker, you probably don't follow them. First term, 2017, fact checkers documented 30,000 false or misleading claims over a 4-year period. It averaged out to roughly 21 claims per day. Second term, hold on, let me pull this up. This is all I'm saying, man. This is what they say about Trump, and it's not the worst of it. Here, why isn't this up yet? Let me see. I got to put this on here. Is this there? All right, here. Is it here? Here we go. This is what I'm reading from, in case you can see it. It says it here, and then they're gonna have, look, here are the sources. Like one is Wikipedia, of course, but then you can, okay, hold on. Let's go to another source. Then it says, we'll read on and I'll do this. Second term, 2025 president, while a final cumulative tally for the start of his second term is still being synthesized by a major database. Recent high profile events have added hundreds of new entries. For example, during the State of the Union address on February 2024, that's just 4 days ago, right? Various outlets, including CNN, NPR, and The Guardian, right? The Guardian is right-wing leaning, right? Identified dozens of suspected claims, right? This is from the Critograph, okay? Then it says most frequent or notable misstatements. Fact checkers categorize these into bottomless Pinocchio claims that are repeated so often that they are becoming a form of disinformation. The Economy claims that he built the greatest economy in the history of the world. Listen, brother, let's just start there. Look, I hope you're not offended that I said brother, but let's see here. Just check this out.
Well, no, okay. I wouldn't be offended.
I'm assuming you're a black man.
That's what you just said.
Hold on. But look at this. Look at this though. Just look at the GDP, U.S. GDP last 10 years. No, last 20 years. Let's just be real about this, right? So if we go and we look at the GDP, trading economics, I think this is the one, right? Let's just go there, and you can go to anyone, right? Now, if I put up this chart here, now if I tell the chart to go to 10 years, right? Is this? Hold on, this is not even.
But I don't want you to go too far back. I want to address the State of the Union.
Okay, but in the statement, he said he built the greatest economy in the history of the world.
And that's a lie, right?
Well, what I'm saying is that if Biden said that, would he be a liar?
You're addressing lies.
No,
I don't want to keep moving the goalposts. You said lies. So you said that Trump lied. That was a lie that Trump told?
What? Okay, here, let's read it again. Let's read it again, right? This is what he said. He says the Economy claimed that he built the greatest economy in the history of the world. That he built it, not steward. Not stewarded. Yeah, of course it's a lie. Because if you look,
it's a lie.
Absolutely, it's a lie. Because if you actually look at the GDP.
I will refer you to U.S. I will refer you to U.S. code because he was before government officials and Congress, and I will refer you to U.S. Code Title 18, Chapter 47. Do you know what that is?
No. Go ahead. Tell me what it is.
Okay, it makes it illegal to falsify statements to government officials. Why is no government official calling him out on this? You are the only one. I'm trying to show you. I'm a poli-sci major. I've been out of school for a little minute, but I still have some knowledge in my memory bank. You are being played, heavily being played, to where all of these things that they say about Trump, they can give no authentication to it. They say it.
No,
You guys take it.
Look,
You
no. This is the authentication. This is the authentication. Look,
if he lied to Congress, they would be able to go after him.
no, his own. Yeah, if they went to Congress, I mean, if you want to take him if you want to take him to
He
court,
didn't lie.
if you want to take it to
The
court,
course would hold out. He didn't lie.
no, the man. Listen. Let's be clear about the statement he said. He said built.
Okay.
He built the greatest economy. I'm trying to find the
I
list
understand
of the GDP,
that.
right? So the fact of the matter is that I asked you this: could Biden have said the same thing?
Biden could have said the same thing, and it would not have made him. It can be exaggeratory.
Hold on. Would it make it right? Would it make it true?
We're moving the goalposts. I can't red herring the argument. First, you said,
okay.
would it be true? I answered that question about it being true. It could be exaggeratory, but I don't think it would flat out be a lie. If there was some growth in the economy.
You know why though? You know why? Look, let's just say no one can take credit for building the U.S. economy. But in any case, if you just look at the GDP rose $1 trillion, over $1 trillion every year Biden was the president. And as soon as Trump became the president, it slowed down. It didn't raise $1 trillion. So how can the man make that claim? Huh?
Cite your source. You have no idea what you're talking about.
Okay,
the GDP. This is. Do you know what quarter we're in? The annual rate and how fast the GDP grows. $1 trillion. You just said every single year he was in office. Cite your source. And I already know you're wrong, and I'm not even, an economist. So, this is interesting to me that I have no idea where you got your facts, but I know you're going to tell me.
Yeah, it is, because it's not like I'm just pulling it out of my ass. It's here, and anyone can find it. There's not different records. This is the government. Listen, this is the government. This is the government's own records. It's the government's own records. You see?
Okay, give me the source.
Okay.
I'm listening to you.
Okay, let's go down to the source here. Let's go to the source. Let's see here. We could choose, huh?
I'm listening to you.
Should we choose the World Bank? Should we choose here? Let's go down to this one. Let's go.
Whichever one you want to choose. Just not a .org, a collegiate source, or from a government site, from a .gov.
Okay, so let's
no
go
.orgs, no .coms, only government or collegiate sources, please.
Okay, let's go here. The Fed only has up to here. Let's go to. Okay, well, the Fed only has up to 2024. Let's see here. Let's open this one up. The Fed, right? Hold on. Hold on. Let me go here.
What percentage did the economy, the GDP, grow under Trump? That's what I need. I don't need hard numbers like trillions. You can't quantify the GDP in that manner. So I need the percentage in which it grew.
It slowed down.
Okay, it did not.
If you said it slowed down. The growth has slowed down. You didn't hear. You never heard anyone say the growth has slowed down.
Okay, but did it grow?
Well, that's not the point. The point is, if it slowed down, that's not the greatest economy built. That's the point.
I understand that. What was the rate in which the GDP grew under Biden? And I need to know the quarter. I think we just ended the fourth quarter for numbers. We just ended the fourth quarter numbers. So you have to give me the numbers for Biden. And I don't even like arguing on this platform because I'm not an economist. And then,
that's fair enough. But I'm just asking you, was that true? Because every time I go in and I look at, and I don't just look at one piece of data, I'm willing to look at new data. But all the data shows that the U.S. has slowed down in growth. So that obviously contradicts.
You have to give me the source.
Any government source, all the sources, all the economic data suggests that that's why the U.S. dollar has gone down 10 points. You didn't know the U.S. dollar's gone down 10 points? That's why gold has gone up. That's why gold has gone up, because the economy has slowed down. That's just
Which economist do you follow? I follow Thomas Sowell. I get a lot of my information and a few other ones.
Okay, well, I'm just trying to pull it up on the Fed. You said you wanted it from the government, U.S. Bureau of Economic
Yeah, from
Analysis.
the government side.
Accurate, right?
Yeah.
So now let me see if they actually slowed down their by 2 weeks their reports. To be honest, that's also not a good indication. It should have been released earlier, and they waited till the 14th, February 14th, to release it. That's where you see the dip in the stock market all of a sudden. But let me see here. Where is it at? Hold on. Let me see something here. Because I'm trying to pick just the government one up. Huh?
They said the economy slowed. You're talking about, and I can't really look at job growth because I don't like things that can be skewed. I like hard data. Like when they say the job growth under Biden grew. No, I need the median for blacks. I need the median household income. I need to see that.
I'm not Trump wasn't talking about blacks. Trump made a statement here. Let me just go back.
I'm just using an example. No. Yeah, I'm just using an example. I'm not,
Yeah. So I'm just trying to get to the first, because there's a load of other comments that he made. You know what I'm saying? And I'm sure you would agree. If the dollar has gone down 10 points and the GDP has slowed in growth, right? I'm sure you will agree that contradicts, it just contradicts the idea that he's had he created the strongest economy. That's all I'm saying, and of course, all the data is not in, even they have 2020. This is what's projected. You see here. So think about this. Even the projection, this is a projection. Look, the U.S. economy has gone up by $1 trillion. It doesn't matter because they all use the government, the Fed's records. This is what they're using. They're not bypassing the Fed. The U.S. dollar is an important dollar across the globe. People put their security in it. So everyone's following it. You see what I mean? So it can't be hidden. It cannot be hidden because other governments use the U.S. dollar as their official currency. See, there's more people with their eye on the U.S. dollar and economy than any other economy on earth. You just have to understand that's how it works. That's how powerful our country is.
What did you say?
More people have eyes on the U.S. economy than any other economy on earth because more people use the U.S. economy as their actual dollar. The dollar is their actual, trading. You see, that's how important it is. So these kind of facts can't be hidden, right? So here,
those aren't facts. No quantitative data that proves that point. So I mean, it's an opinion, and I'm not going to disagree with you, but statistically, there's nothing that you would be able to show me that would prove that it's all opinionated confab at the end of the day.
Okay. So it's opinionated that Trump, okay. So let's go to the next one then. Let's go to the next statement here that he said. I mean, because they saying that the man has made how many lies? That's the thing about it. 30,000 lies. You saying that's also not true? It can't be 30,000. Was it 10? You said show me one time when Trump lied, and they're saying he made 30,000 lies.
No. I never said that. I know they all lie. I said he is more honest than most of them. That's what I said. Okay. I'm not saying he never lies.
Even when he lies, he's more honest. Even when he lies, he's more honest, right? Basically.
No, in the situation in which he's lying, obviously he's not being honest in that moment. I'm saying as a whole, I believe Trump to be more honest than most of these politicians. That is my opinion. It is not based in factual integrated data, but that is something that I hold firm to. And that I trust that he's making the best decisions for America, for America. We're at war right now. And I don't know if people are, I don't know how you feel.
The day that the Clintons went in to their testimony, and it's all in the news, the day, this is what people talking about Epstein, and now we're bombing Iran again.
And you said that's not good.
Well, here's the thing. I mean, there's some people that think it's good. There's some people that think it's bad. Me, I think while you don't have health care for all Americans, because I'm an American that lives outside of the U.S., so I have health care.
Yeah.
I have health care. My health care doesn't
Okay.
just go from election to election, how much it costs and will I have it or not, or will I be able to afford it or not? No, that's not what's going on in my life, right? But the U.S. is a far richer, wealthier country, right?
Yes.
But the U.S. has these monies for war, but it doesn't have the same tax dollars for its American citizens in its healthcare program. You know, so I'm totally against that. Why do you have socialized military? Every American pays into that has a job. Is paying every military service member's salary. They're paying for every single bomb, and they're calling it the strongest military on earth. Well, why does that socialist project work in America and they don't want to do healthcare like that? Why is that? If it works for the military and they claim it's the strongest military on earth and it's been satisfactory for all these years as a norm, why don't they do the same with healthcare?
Well, first, I think healthcare. I don't know. Are you suggesting that we get universal health care? I don't know.
I'm suggesting that we have the strongest military on earth. It's socialized.
Yes.
It's the biggest socialized project in the country outside of
It's social. It's a public service. It's not.
No. That is what socialized is. It means it's paid for 100% by taxpayers. That's what that means. It's no private funds. The public.
Oh, okay.
The public.
It's socialized benefits. It's not a.
It's a project.
It's not a social.
No. It's a 100% taxpayer-run endeavor. The taxpayer, just like the government, the taxpayers pay every single government person's salary, their dental, their health care, and it's the same for the military. Every single taxpayer, even taxpayers that can't even afford fucking health care, pay for other people's health care. That's what I'm saying.
I understand that, but it's a socialized. What I'm trying to get you to is socialized benefits, which it comes from the taxpayer money. However, it's a public structure.
It's not. That is, that's socialized. Public structure is socialized.
No. I'm telling you, it's a difference.
Okay.
There's a difference between socialized benefits and public structure.
I didn't say socialized benefits. You said socialized benefits.
Thank you. That's what I'm saying. So it's socialized benefits in that the taxpayers pay for it, but it is a public structure. That I'm trying to make that clarification.
To me, that clarification doesn't even matter because the source is 100% the taxpayer. That's the issue here. And the people that pay for it, if you can pay for the greatest military on earth, why doesn't the
can pay for healthcare?
Why can't the same thing be created out of healthcare? Why not? Why can't the same thing be created out of education? Why not? Why are people taxpayers paying into a system for other people to have health care that they can't even afford to access themselves? What's up?
So how would you do healthcare? How would you do? Are you asking for universal healthcare? How would you? You're a politician. How would you do healthcare? Like, I want you to explain it to me.
I would do it the same way you do the military. How's the military so great? How are we so successful with our military? I would do it the same way.
There's a lot of elements, but it's different. You can give comparative analysis between healthcare and the military, and that the funding, all you have to do is just throw funding to something and it will structure.
But that's not what happens in the military. That's not what happens in the military. The military is not the greatest because they just throw money at it. They have scientists, they have engineers, they have all of that. They have doctors, they have medical teams, they have researchers. They got all of that. That's what your tax dollars pay for.
Okay, so what are you asking for? You want to structure it like the military?
No,
in which way?
No, I'm just saying if every taxpayer can pay into the military and it's the greatest military on earth, why can't it be the same for healthcare? It's not the same for healthcare. The healthcare right now in the United States of America, every taxpayer pays into it, but every taxpayer can't access it on the back end because then you have to privatize it. And because the way that it's privatized, you have 4 different administrators of healthcare, that are stacking up the bills just on paperwork. So what you pay for healthcare in the U.S. is like 4 to 5 times what everyone else in the Western world pays for it. 3, 4 to 5 times.
You do know it's still a financial burden to the taxpayer. I'm going the universal health care route because that's what it sounds like you would like to implement to where we all have health care, which sounds.
Trump said he built the greatest economy. That's what Trump said. He's the one who said that. You're the one that's saying, yep, that must be true. I trust Trump, right? I trust him.
I never said that. I said that is Trump's opinion.
And
I referred you. I said that is Trump's opinion. I referred you to Title 18, Chapter 47 of the U.S. Constitution, that it is illegal to lie to a government official or to Congress. It is illegal. So if he did tell any hyperboles, I don't know if that constitutes as a lie, but if he did tell any lie.
You're just saying, does it rise to the criminal point of being a lie? Does it follow the criminal definition of a lie? And maybe it doesn't, but it doesn't mean it's not a lie. That's the difference in it. You know what I'm saying? There's civil, there's criminal, and and if people want to take it up, they can take it up. And some people do. Trump has been not Trump, but I think Fox News, you know what I'm saying? Now, a president might be harder. A congressional member, it might be more difficult because they're a public figure at that time. They're a public servant at that time. But I mean, generally speaking, you can be liable. You could be liable for saying things that aren't true. But it just depends on if it rises to the criminal part. But look, Trump right now, according to the Supreme Court, as long as he says that he's saying things and that's part of his presidential duty, then he can't be prosecuted criminally. So there it is. So he can say a lie pretty much. You see, he can justify the lie by being the president. That's what the Supreme Court is saying.
They can, but it doesn't matter what the Supreme Court, because they can draft articles of impeachment.
No, they can.
If they really feel,
they can. And I agree with that. They can. The majority, whoever it is, they can draft articles of impeachment. But I mean, I just, you have to ask why they haven't. And I agree. If they haven't drafted the articles of impeachment, it means they think Trump is doing pretty damn good. And I think American taxpayers should ask them, what does that mean? Yeah. Should they get some new elected officials? Maybe. That's what democracy is all about. That's what elections are all about. If you're not happy with the elected officials for any reason whatsoever, you don't have to explain 1 second. The country belongs to you, not to them. Every single American has a voice on what they believe is right and wrong, and they can vote them out for any reason. They can vote them out if they just don't like their hairstyle. They can vote them out if they don't like their color. They can vote them out if they don't like how they speak. They can vote them out. They don't even have to have a good reason. They can vote them out if it's a woman. They can vote them out if it's a man. I don't like this woman. I'm voting her out. Why don't you like this woman? I don't know, but she's a woman. That's how democracy works. So, I mean, I find it kind of strange that the wealthiest country on earth with the most powerful military on earth, right? And if you want to add Trump's claims to, that it's the best, he built the best economy, then why is it that Americans are worried about their mortgage? Why is it that Americans are worried about health care? Why is it that Americans are having student debt over their head for their entire life? Why? How can that be? It's not happening in any other Western nation. All those NATO nations that the United States invoked in Article 5 during the War on Terror, after the Twin Towers, all of those people have health care. All of those people have universal access to education without a fucking bill over their neck for their whole life. Don't you find that to be problematic? I mean, I think is your life worth less than other Western people living in Western countries? Are you worth less?
But it doesn't matter. We're worth.
It doesn't matter.
But it doesn't matter. No. I'm saying it doesn't matter because we're worth much more than all of those countries.
No. Right now, you ain't worth shit, bro. I'm telling you, right? I live outside of the U.S. I'm born and raised in Washington, D.C. Okay. I moved outside of the U.S. when I'm 30. I live abroad. I'm telling you, your life is worth less. It is absolutely worth less because you work longer hours for fucking less. That's what you do. You pay the same amount of taxes for fucking less. That's what I'm telling you. And you got the only government that allows you to do it because they just won't straighten this shit out. That's different, man. That's way different. And you should be alarmed. You should be alarmed. You should take that comment and say, you know what? Let me go look into why that is. Should I make excuses about my elected officials? Should it matter whether it's Trump or Clinton? Can't they all be wrong about that? Does it matter if they're Republican or Democrat? Can't they all be just wrong about that?
Yeah, no, I agree. I just wanted to get one of your people in the chat asked about neoclassical economics and classical economics. I am a classical economist. I do like product goods, the price of products driving the economy rather than neoclassical, which is more so subverted to the consumer being satisfied. So I think the economy,
it's bullshit.
I think
it's bullshit, man. Listen, it's bullshit. It doesn't matter. Listen, I'm just going to tell you, look, and I agree with you in some ironically, in some ways you said Bill Clinton, you said Trump, I like him. He's more trustworthy because of how he speaks. He doesn't speak like a politician. I don't speak like a goddamn politician. Okay. Do you trust what I'm saying? You better trust what I'm saying. Yeah. I don't speak like a politician. You know what I'm saying? Right. And I'm just telling you, no matter how you cut it, neo-political, economics, and then all of it is bullshit when it is coming out of the United States of fucking America about how it treats its own fucking people. It's all bullshit. Yeah. Okay. Go ahead.
I got a question.
There's no.
So
in other words, what I'm saying is there's no explanation for this situation. There is zero. There's zero explanation. Okay. That's what I'm saying for the situation about American peoples. Which is pretty dire. But go ahead. Go ahead.
So do you? If this isn't the place for America or for. What do you think the state of the black community? Because in my opinion, like Brother Malcolm X and Marcus Garvey believed, if you are able to solve the plight of the black man, then you can solve the plight of all of America. If you can fix that situation, you can fix America in a whole. So do you believe Trump is a racist? Do you believe this is America is a place for a black man, woman, boy, or girl? What are your thoughts on race relations?
I don't think Trump values any Americans that aren't elitist, period. I think there's just nothing there. I believe you're dealing with a person that wants to concentrate power around wealthy people, and they believe they are the slave masters for everyone else, whether you're white, black, anything, woman, man. That's what I believe. That's how I believe.
That's what you call.
Huh?
But that's what you call a free. But that's what you call a free market. One thing that he did.
No, that's not. No. That's not a free market at all.
You let me explain.
Well,
you got to let me. He's a capitalist. The terrorists originally were to stop.
It's not about him being a capitalist. You're in a democracy with laws. You're with taxpayers. He's receiving taxpayer dollars to have a job. He's elected only by the citizens of the United States, and only for one reason: to make sure that every life in the United States that is a citizen and a taxpayer is improved. That is his job.
So you agree with his immigration?
Anything he's doing is supposed to improve everyone's life in the country. Anything that he is doing is supposed to improve everyone's life in the country.
You mean improve in which way? Improve in which way? It has improved a lot.
Well, no, I said everyone's life. Everyone's life. Improve. That's his job. To find ways to improve. Huh?
That's a universal negative. That is a universal negative. In theory, you cannot 100% straight across the board, be able to satisfy every single person. It's
No, no, what?
humanly
No, no,
impossible
no, no,
to
no.
do.
No, but he's supposed to try. That's what I'm saying. That's his job. That's his actual job. And it doesn't matter
How
if you, huh?
But how can you do that when a large portion of constituents, it doesn't matter if he does good,
Who
are
do you
still not going to
serve?
like it?
But who do you serve as the president? Who do you serve? Don't you serve every single American?
That's not how politics work. You do for your base. The majority,
No,
if
no,
the
no,
Democrats,
no, 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 no,
the
no, no. That's not what you. That's not.
majority of
That's
Americans agree with
see.
transgenderism,
That's the problem.
but
That's the
nobody
problem. That's
push
the
transgenderism.
that's the problem. That's the problem right there. You said it
Okay.
right there. You do for your base. So he is not serving the American people. He is only
Why
serving
didn't
his
it serve
base.
the American people?
You just said you serve your base.
I mean, I'm just playing the devil's advocate.
No,
That's
no, no,
all
no,
I'm
no,
doing.
no,
I'm
no,
not.
no. I'm not playing. I'm not making excuses for none of the shit. I told you. I have no personal connection to Trump. He's only elected to work for every American citizen, period. That's his only job. He works for the citizens,
That's
all
what he's
citizens.
doing.
Now, I don't know why we make excuses of why he don't have to work for the American citizens, why he doesn't have to make things better for the American citizens. Why I don't know why we make that point. You see what I mean? He's still supposed to
I
want.
never said that he does.
Huh?
I said he does. I said he does make. I think he makes life better for American people.
Well, it's his only job. It's his only fucking job, actually. That's what I'm saying. It's his only job. That's what he's supposed to actually be doing. And the bottom line is that he has not found a way to get every American health care. He has not found a way to make education accessible for every American. He hasn't.
Yes,
He has not.
No.
He has not found a way to make sure that everyone that has a job makes a living wage where they can afford to be housed and pay their bills and get clothing and food on their back in the area where they work within proximity.
So
he has not done that. So and
okay,
here's the thing.
Let me explain.
No, and here's the
All
thing.
right.
And here's the thing. I think American people are very different than other Western people because American people make more exceptions for their politicians not delivering what the fuck they have no excuse for delivering. There is no way on earth you can be the most powerful nation to ever have existed, and yet that power does not exist in the hands of its public. Like, there's no power when it comes to housing. There's no fucking power in the public sector. The public doesn't even have a right. You don't even have a right to have a home, bro. You don't have that right. That's not an inherent right in the wealthiest, most powerful country on earth, but it's an inherent right around every other Western country. Healthcare, it's an inherent right everywhere else around the Western world, except the United States of America, the most powerful one. Don't you find that a little strange? What do you base power on? I mean, I don't know, man. I'm just saying, what do you base power on?
Okay, so first, you said a lot of stuff.
Yeah, what do you
First
base
thing-
freedom? What do you base freedom on?
Okay, first I have to address the things that you said in which he did not improve. First thing I'm going to address is education. Bessie DeVos put forth school choice, meaning you no longer had to stay in your district, which all of the administrations had opportunities to stop. I grew up in a very bad neighborhood, and you had to stay in that bad neighborhood to go to school. You had to stay within every area code or a geographical area, and you could not go outside of that. When he appointed Bessie DeVos, she ended that. You could now travel outside of your so-called county if you wanted to pursue or go to a better school, if you wanted your kids to go to a better school. When Obama, and I know a lot of people don't know this, Obama was a beneficiary, his children, of the voucher system. So when they received vouchers, his kids received vouchers, and they went to a private school, he ended that. Why? Because he did not want inner city kids going to the same school his kids were. So he ended the voucher system. So when Trump came in,
hold on. So you're saying that Obama ended a policy based on his own personal preference for his own personal family.
I never said policy. I said it was a voucher system that the school in which his daughters attended, allow inner city kids or kids from impoverished neighborhoods that you could get this voucher.
And that's a policy you're talking about. You're talking about a policy.
No. For that specific school, I do not know if it was
it's a policy. It's a policy.
So if you want to say policy, he ended that. Once his kids got into that school, he ended it. So he did not better the education system for people. I think being able to go to any school
hold
whatever.
Hold on. Listen.
Okay.
Listen, Obama's not the president right now. He's not. You can
Okay,
there's nothing you can achieve right now by talking about the person who doesn't have the power right now.
I just told you, pro-choice. He allowed kids to travel out of their county to go to school.
But here's the thing. Obama is not in government service anymore.
I'm not talking about Obama anymore. I said Trump provided pro-choice so kids could travel out of their county, out of their district to go to better schools. That is major.
No. Listen, that is major in the United States. Hold on. That's major in the United States of America because why? Because your standards for education and people getting access to it are inherently extremely low. That's why it's an advancement. But when you compare it to all other Western nations, that shit is way fucking behind. And on top of it, how much you pay for it, you even pay even more for getting less. What the fuck, man? Like the education and the healthcare system parallel each other in the U.S. When you compare them to any other Western nations, you're behind. It's only an investment to people that only look inside of the United States for something to compare to. The moment you compare it to other Western nations, it's behind, period, way behind, right? So, and you pay more for it while being behind. That doesn't make sense.
Okay.
So what I'm saying is that don't you need public officials to break from that? To stop making excuses and start saying, listen, we live in a world. We live in a union together. We already are in NATO. Why are we, if we can call on NATO people, other countries to defend us when we're being attacked, because that is the situation right now. If the United States gets attacked right now, they will be invoking Article 5. They will be asking other nations to come to their rescue. These people that come to their rescue, every single person in their community has health care, has access to education. Don't you find that strange?
Don't I find what strange?
That every single person you're calling to come and help you, if you're attacked, all of them and everyone in their family and everyone in their proximity in their country has access to universal health care and universal education, and you don't you find that strange?
Okay, you are saying so much and I'm trying to get all of it. First of all, NATO invoked.
That's little. Just only stick to what I'm saying. Only stick to what I'm saying.
You keep jumping around. Look, you keep. I'm trying to address what you're saying. You keep going from like pillar to post, and I'm trying to address everything.
It's not pillar to post. It's not pillar to post. The rich are getting all the money in the U.S., and the people paying for everything are getting nothing from their fucking tax dollars. It's not complicated to understand, man. It's not complicated to understand.
You have no relevant answers. I know a little bit about the economy. I listen to certain economists, and so I can give you a clear-cut answer. Hey, the 1% is making at least 90%. They're receiving 90% of the national revenue that is being produced here in America. Here is what you would do to sort of circumvent all of that money going to them back to the working class. You're giving no real answers. I hear what you're saying, and you're just making these random statements, but you're not giving any justification to them. You're not giving no answer, and most people are like that. So I'm trying to listen to you.
Hold on, no,
to
no, no,
see,
no,
okay,
no, no, no. Most people are not like that. You know why most people are not like that in the United States of America? Because most people in the United States of America can't look left to right and see that everyone has health care. Most people in the United States of America can't look left to right and see that everyone has access to education if they want it. Most people cannot see that in America. When I look around as an American left to right, where I am in Denmark, I see that. There's a difference there. What pays for it? What pays for the U.S. healthcare system? How is that the biggest part of the biggest Fed budget in it? Does that take up how much does the healthcare in the USA take up of the federal budget? I mean, it might be, even if it's not number one, it's number two, man. You know, that's how much is being spent on it, and it doesn't cover everybody. It's not universal, you know, and that is crazy. That's 20. Look at this. This is just an estimate. 20% of the GDP. That's just an estimate.
List three countries with universal health care.
The one I live in, Denmark, Norway.
Denmark. No, so you're listing all Scandinavian countries.
Well,
what countries over here?
No, listen. You could go into a lot of it. Part of it is privatized here too. It's not all, you know, and privatized means it's paid for by the taxpayer. It's paid for 100% by the taxpayer, but there's private companies working for the taxpayer. That's the difference. So it's not.
No, and therefore, listen, therefore the privatized companies have say. The government has no regulation on it. So Canada right now, if you were to have a toothache, you would need a wisdom tooth pulled. It would take you approximately nearly 2 months. I have a lot of people. My cousin, Buddy Jackson, got 3 Grey Cups. That's their Super Bowl over there in Canada for their little football league. It takes you approximately 3 months or a very long time just to get a tooth pulled. You break an arm. It takes months on end to get any type of medical work done in these countries with so-called universal health care, because the government can it's like you said, it's privatized.
But listen, so they get but listen. So what you're saying is, as the most powerful country that's ever existed on earth, and the most powerful country to exist right now, the most wealthiest country on earth that exists right now, you can't do it better than Canada? Is that what you're saying? Because you're not doing it better than Canada. You're doing healthcare worse than Canada across the board. So you're not even talking about all the people in the U.S. with health. They don't even count how long it takes you to get something done in the U.S. because you don't need to count. You don't have a right to it. Okay, when you have a toothache, you don't have a right to go to the doctor. When you have an arm broken, you don't have the fucking right. You know, and they're.
What do you mean you have a right?
No, look, this is what they're trying to do. They're trying to limit it. If you need a life with preventative care, they're limiting that. You don't get the right to go to a doctor. You see what I mean? This is why actually people are ending up with worse issues in the United States of America, because there's no right to see a doctor. You see what I mean? It's privatized, man. And you're paying for that privatization. Look, hospital care, 31%. The largest single category of federal budget spending. Look, 31%. Physicians and clinical services, 20%. A lot of the GDP.
But that would go against your claim. That would go against your claim of 31%, and we spend a lot of money on it. That will go against your claim. But why don't we put more money into healthcare like we do the military, and it will change?
That's not it. Because because when you look at how much you pay into it, and then you look at where the money's going, half of that money is just going to administrative fees. It's not going to care. That's the problem. In other words, companies are getting rich off of the taxpayer. That's what's going on in the U.S. And you're paying for it. That's what's happening.
Companies, insurance companies are getting rich. Then you need to pay out of pocket.
Look,
it would be much cheaper.
and the
Would be
insurance,
much.
the insurance companies are the administrators. That is what drives up the cost in the United States of America. That's the problem right there. Companies that are just doing paperwork are getting rich, and they're not providing services. That's what's happening in the U.S. That's not happening across the rest of the Western world. That's not happening. You see, and Americans, again, you're the only ones that's dealing with this issue. You're the only ones that's normalizing this issue. I mean, you're normalizing it right now in speech. And to be honest, if you just detracted it from politics and you said, okay, this is how I want to live my personal life, you would be like, fuck, what the fuck am I doing? Why am I paying 4 administrators? Why am I paying half of what I pay is going to someone to do paperwork instead of the fucking doctor that's going to fucking save my life? That would be stupid. If you just take it out of politics and look at it at your own life, you would call it a waste of fucking money in your own house. That's what you would call it. You wouldn't allow anyone else. You wouldn't even hire someone to bring you those results if you had a business. You wouldn't do that. But yet they got the taxpayer hiring people to do business like that. That's ridiculous, man. It doesn't make any sense. And again, if you're talking about Canada, why aren't you doing it better? If you're talking about any other country, why aren't you doing it worse? Less of a percentage of the population are getting the health care that they need. Less of the population. I mean, that's what it comes down to. And again, the taxpayer is flipping the bill for that, for less people getting access. If you were flipping the bill for more, it might make sense, but you're actually flipping the bill for less. And why? Because half of that money that you're paying is going to someone to sit at a desk just to sit there and find out how you shouldn't get health care. Let me see. Is this paper filled out right? What's their history? Let's make sure before we let them in. Let's make sure. Let's spend a couple of days and some hours and just to figure out if we can deny you a claim. Then, yeah, and you're paying, and then you're paying into it even if you can't access it. So, a person, I don't know what your healthcare provider is. Maybe you don't have it. Huh?
I said, wasn't that Obamacare paying into something that you really didn't need?
No, it was called the Affordable. It was called it was the Affordable Health Care Act. It's not the Obamacare. Right.
Obamacare, Affordable Care.
It's just like SNAP. It's just like SNAP and food stamps. Food stamps don't exist. SNAP do. You know, it's not Obamacare. It's the American Affordable Health Care Act. They called it Obamacare so they could attach it to what someone's phenotype looked like.
There we go. I mean, whatever. He was a president back then. It's the same thing.
Every American wanted better health care. Every American wanted better health care, and they called it the American Health Care Act because it's about Americans. It wasn't about Obama. It wasn't about Obama. It was about Americans needing health care.
Well, you ended up paying high premiums, and you still the result. And you know what Obamacare. And I'm not even in total disagreement with Obamacare. I think the reason why it didn't work is due to, like I said, well, first subsidy.
It was a settlement. It was a settlement. It was a settlement. It was a settlement. I'm not
disagreeing. I'm not disagreeing with that. Yeah. However, it fell apart. Obamacare fell apart. So they tried something. They tried to tackle healthcare, but obviously, it's much bigger than just trying to formulate something congressionally. It's a lot of stuff you got to do. Just a lot of stuff you got to do. I'm not saying it was bad. I'm just saying we tried to tackle healthcare. It still ended up falling apart. That's all I'm saying. So it's much bigger than I think what you're making it out to be. No.
I'm making it. I'm not making it bigger. You're narrowing it. That's the problem. You're doing the exact opposite. You're narrowing it. You're narrowing healthcare in a way that you don't narrow NATO. See, when it comes to war and protecting yourself and defending yourself, you're willing to have a conversation about a collective of nations. When you're dealing with healthcare, you're completely cutting yourself off from what every other person in that same security trade organization does. See, you're narrowing it and you're not learning from your allies. You're narrowing it and you're not learning from the other big economies on earth. You're narrowing it, and you're not expanding it to the people in close proximity to you economically, that affect your life too. That's the problem. You're only willing to look inside of what the last person did in the USA and say, I won't do it that way at all. And you're not willing to say, but what about how everyone else does it? If we examine that, could we learn from them? You're not taking that up in the debate, and you're voting for people that don't take that up in the debate. That's your tax dollars, and you're paying for it to not be taken up in the debate. Then you watch TV, legacy media, Fox News, CNN, and you never see them take it up in a debate. You never see them talk about any comparisons about that. You don't see them talk about comparisons on any of the tax, how the taxes are collected, who pays what in the tax system, who and what rights do you have within it as a taxpayer, these kind of things. That's never done comprehensively in legacy media. Now, Fox News, none of them.
That's what Trump and them are doing. That's what they're doing now.
No. What they're doing is they're going like this. They're rejecting everyone else in the major economies around the world closer to them. Now, J.D. Vance will go over to Europe and preach. Why do you go to Europe if you preach? Why do you give a fuck about Europe? You go to Europe to preach? That means J.D. Vance cares about what Europeans think. That's why he went to Europe. He even admits, he's sitting there talking about the European society is coming to an end. That means he cares, right? But why does he care and he's not willing to look at anything else that they do right? What's the point? You see, so
what do you mean?
They sent him over to preach to the EU. Yeah, they did. Why do you preach to the EU if you don't give a fuck about the EU? So here's the thing. He preaches to the EU because he cares about the EU. Why do you care about the EU if there's nothing they're doing right? If they're so different from you, why do you care? You see, the point is that it's a hustle on the American people. They know that every other Western person, a citizen of a Western country, gets universal health care and universal education. They know that. They don't want Americans to wake up, so they don't mention it. That's what they're doing. They highlight this tiny little thing that they want to highlight and then run from every other discussion to be had about their relation. That's what they're doing, and they're playing the American people. And I'm telling you this as an American born and raised in Washington, D.C., left the United States when I was 30. Both sides of my family go back to the colonial period, but I happen to live abroad as a grown-ass man. It's my duty to make it plain and tell people. If you don't want your kids, if you don't think your kids, like my kids, should have the right to universal education. Yes, I do. If you don't think your
What
kids,
is universal education?
Universal education means they get paid to go to school.
So you want kids in elementary to get paid to go to school?
It means it means their university, their technical school, they get paid to go.
You said
they get
kids. In the university, they're not kids. They're adults.
Well, they're your children.
Kids.
They're still your children. They're still your children.
But you said kids.
I said my kids. I said mine. So, and don't try to divert.
So you're not.
Don't try to divert from the point. You know exactly what I said. My kids, and I said yours.
No,
Do you not want? Do you not want? That's what I said. Me and you. Only that's what we're talking about. My kids have universal education. That means when they go to college, when they go to technical school, not only is it free, as long as they pass the entry exam, which is all up to them. It has nothing to do with how much money they make or anybody else, right? It's the same thing with the hospital. It has nothing to do with how much money they have, right? Now, if you don't want your kids having that, that's your choice.
You're saying you cannot go, but you're saying you cannot go to school free right now. That's what you're saying.
No, you can't go. The school is free. The school is free. The school is free.
School is already free. This Pell Grants is financial aid. School is free.
No,
you don't have to pay back.
Listen, it's in the tax system. I paid 39% tax when I lived in Washington D.C. I paid 33%. I pay 39% tax. Hold on, I pay 39% tax. I get something like between $12,000 and $14,000 tax free a year. I get 5 weeks vacation from my job. I have a union job. 5 weeks vacation. Everybody gets 5 weeks vacation within that tax system every year, no
What
matter
does that
what.
have to do with universal education? Though? I'm trying to understand.
Universal education is paid for within that tax system. Universal health care is paid for within that tax system.
Education is paid for within the tax system already.
Yeah.
Through financial aid, through Pell Grants.
No.
So
it's
what
not,
are you
it's not
talking
through
about?
it's not through financial aid or through Pell Grants. It's not.
I'm saying it's already paid for right now. Education is you can go to school free.
Hold on. Are you talking
right
about
now.
in the United States?
I'm talking about in the United States.
Oh, okay. So just be clear, because that's not, and
scholarships.
So
you could get. I mean, certain ways that you could get school paid for.
So you don't know the many people. You didn't know that the Supreme Court shot down student debt relief. Why do students have debt if it's paid for?
They're taking out loans. That's why they don't have scholarships. I just said scholarships.
Okay. Why do they take out loans? Why are loans? Why should they just not cut all the loans?
Scholarship. They don't have a Pell Grant. They don't have the financial means in which to pay for school. There's many factors that go into why somebody can afford school.
So just like
for free.
So just like the hospitals, it costs money. It comes down to finances, right? Whether you get it or not, it comes down to your finances, right? So you're saying that there could be a situation where an American citizen doesn't have enough money to actually really go to school.
No, that's not what I'm saying. You're taking a little excerpt.
Okay, but is that possible? Is that possible in the U.S.?
Is what possible? To not be able to afford to go to college?
Yeah.
Anything is possible. I think
you never heard of anybody. You never heard of anybody that had that issue.
I just said the probability of someone not being able to pay for school is highly probable.
Yeah, it is, and it's highly probable that someone can't afford to pay for healthcare too, right?
I guess no. That statement makes no sense because unlike Canada, they won't be able to treat you if you go to a hospital.
It's highly probable. It's highly probable in the USA. It's highly probable in the USA.
They take you to an ER, and they take you to an ER. You will be treated.
It's highly probable that it's highly probable. It's highly probable in the USA that you cannot get the health care you need if you don't have the money, right?
Certain healthcare.
It's very simple.
Certain healthcare you will be able to get.
Exactly. We know it's highly probable. We know that. I'm just asking to get it on record. Now, here's the thing. What state do you live in?
What's your name? I'm so sorry. I like calling people by their name.
Just V.
What's your name?
You can call me V.
V. Okay.
Yeah.
V.
But listen.
So what I'm saying is, I just gave you an example of universal healthcare right there. If you call 911, it doesn't matter if you have health insurance. If you don't have health insurance, you will be taken to the hospital.
No, listen. That's not. No. That's what happens here. Here in Denmark, no matter who you are, no matter if you're an immigrant or you're a tourist or anything, even if you're an illegal, doesn't matter. You get sick, you get emergency care here. Period.
Absolutely.
But that's not what we're talking about. That's not what I'm talking about. That's not universal health care. That's not universal health care. Universal health care is when all aspects of health care are obtained. That's universal health care. But here's the next thing. What state do you live in?
Jersey. Watch travel.
Okay, but what state do you live in, man? Come on. You pay taxes. What state do you live in?
Jersey. I'll say Jersey. Between Jersey and Florida. I love Jersey and Florida.
Okay, but you pay taxes in one of them, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so Jersey.
I would say Florida. Yeah.
Okay. Which
Florida,
one,
Florida.
man?
I pick Florida.
Okay.
Florida. I'm picking Florida.
Don't pick it. Tell the truth. What you got to pick? There's nothing to pick from. You can't be in two different places paying taxes, you know?
Why wouldn't you be able to if you have residency?
Where's your residency? You can't vote from two different places?
Yeah, totally different question. That's where am I registered to vote? Not where is my residency? You're asking two different questions.
I'm asking where do you pay your income tax? That's what I'm asking. Is it Jersey? Is it Jersey?
Where do I pay? You can pay. You can pay income tax in multiple states, right?
Okay, so all right, so
It's-
all right, so
I'm
okay,
just saying,
okay,
you know that, right?
so you choose if that's what you do. I only live in one place. If that's what you do, then hey, there you go. So
Yeah, I mean, if you travel, you know, business, whatever.
okay,
You know.
so now when living in Jersey, what is the federal and state income tax that you pay? How much is it?
No, I said Florida,
Okay,
because that's where
Miami, and wherever, either one, whichever place, the place that you decide you want to talk about. What do you pay
yeah.
in Fed or no? Let's just stick to Jersey.
Okay.
Right? In Jersey, what do you pay in income tax, state and federal? What do you pay in that? And sales tax
I don't.
altogether?
That's why I said Florida.
Huh?
That's why I said Florida. I'm not too sure what the taxes are in Jersey.
All right, let me see here. Income tax in New Jersey. Does a person pay? Right? I'm just curious about that. Yeah, I'm just curious about it.
Florida, I got to deal with Florida because I know Florida. Jersey, I don't know what the price is with income tax. I know Florida, we don't pay an income tax. So
Right, that's why you picked that one. But I'm looking for a general medium. You know what I'm saying? I know. See, and this is the thing about it. You know, people that argue against, people that are okay with military being subsidized by the taxpayer, right? Because that's what it is, right? Generally, in the United States, are not okay with healthcare being subsidized by the taxpayer.
I never made that assertion.
No, but I'm saying that's what I found. That's what I found. And usually,
okay, 'cause I never made that assertion.
and usually they try to lower the amount of taxes that they pay when they enter that conversation. You know, I've seen that before because I've had this conversation a lot of times. You know, but really, what I'm looking at is the medium. In any case, so it doesn't even matter because I'm looking at the medium. You know, and just trying to get a firm idea of what's going on, right? So, So how much do you pay in either one? You said you don't know how much you pay in Jersey, but how much do you pay in Florida?
In Florida, there's no income tax in Florida.
Okay, there's no income tax in Florida.
Yeah.
So that's why so let me do this. Let me do a different question then. What is the medium, right?
Okay.
Because obviously that's not the norm in the United States, right? No income tax. Right. So asking what's best for Americans wouldn't be based on them. Huh?
I said there's a few other states that don't pay income tax and stuff. I just don't. I don't know them.
Combined. Okay. Across the U.S. Let me just make sure I get that right. Yeah, because it varies. But in any case, the minority wouldn't be the best reflection of the United States of America, right? So, right? Because if you want something to work for all Americans, you can't just look at what the minority does, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would agree. I would think that, you know, hopefully it might change, you know. But let me see here. Combined numbers. Let me see. What is the percentage? That's what I'm trying to get at. Flat taxes, no income taxes, hidden taxes. Yeah, because people don't all pay income federal tax 14%, right? FICA employee share 7.65. Total medium, right? On average is 21%, right? On average, you could say. Now that doesn't include sales tax, right? Can you add sales tax? Right, because that pays for other things. A lot of states, and take extra money out of that to pay for certain things. You know, they handle that across the U.S. differently too, right? Now let me see here. What does it say? Yeah, total medium burden about 24. 25%. You could say, right? People can say that 32 sales tax estimated based on the spending roughly 40% of income on taxable goods. Okay, so 24% total median. Now let me see. Boom. Now let me see here. Add them all together. I'm just curious. Right now, just off the bat, healthcare across other nations is way cheaper than the United States of America. Right? You know that, right? The cost of it.
Wait, I didn't hear what you said. What
Yeah,
did you say?
yeah, the cost of it across the United States, the cost of healthcare, right, is cheaper,
Yeah.
right? The cost of health. So look, it says here when you combine the burden on average, this is an average, it's 28.85%, right? The average. Here we go. Annual dollar amount percentage of income. It's 28.85% on average across the U.S. Right? That's property tax, state income tax, sales, all of this stuff put in there. Tariff effect. Yeah, they got some tariff effect now too on top of that, right? So I pay about maybe 10%, add 10% more on top of that, right? But what that 10% more does is everybody has health care. Any type of issue, if I get a cold and I need to go to the doctor, I don't pay a fee for that. If it turns out that I have I need an operation, a lung transplant, a heart transplant, a brain transplant, I don't have to pay for that. Okay. If it turns out that my kid needs one, I don't have to pay for that. If it turns out that my wife needs one, I don't have to pay for that. Right. Right. Now, if my kids, when because they do, but when some of them are still younger, right, and haven't started higher education yet. But when they do, they're not coming to me asking me to subsidize anything. They're not really taking loans to pay for the class. Any loan has nothing to do with a class. They get a stipend that they don't have to pay back automatically, right, by the state to attend their classes. And if they want to take a loan outside of that, they can. But a lot of people choose not to do that, right? There's other ways to deal with it. Maybe your family wants to help privately subsidize it or whatever. Everyone who's born with this, I'm talking about this 39% tax that I pay. Everyone that has a child, like that could be you, have a child. No matter who you are, you get a monthly stipend from the state for that child to make sure that anything regarding that child has nothing to do with how much money the parents make. Meaning there is absolutely no excuse whatsoever for the parents providing for that child. That never becomes an argument. That never becomes a debate. Right? So when you start combining all these things, right, and you combine them and you talk about taxes, right? That's an important thing to talk about, now, and you can include the fraud drive.
Taxes.
The taxes. When you talk about me paying 10% more taxes, we're talking about what's included in all those taxes. And then on top of that, with those taxes,
so confused.
Hold on. And then on top of that, on average, every European, after paying those higher taxes, brings home $1,000 more in their own pocket after paying their bills and their taxes than the average American.
And which countries are you referencing?
That's general. I live in Denmark, but that's general across Europe. People take home $1,000 more to themselves after they pay their taxes and their expenses, their living expenses.
And what is the cost of living there? What is the cost of a one bedroom apartment
what I'm getting at is that private.
Why are you skipping over that?
No, I'm answering your question.
We need to know what the cost of living. That's that $1,000. How far is it going to stretch? If the cost of living, if it's not affordable, if the food is expensive, groceries and living is expensive.
No, I'm talking about food. You didn't hear what I said, brother. You didn't hear what I said. Okay. I said after you pay your expenses, that includes food, transportation, light, electricity, heating, right? Okay. Everything, clothing, all that stuff you use every month that a normal person needs every month to be healthy, right? Your taxes and your expenses included. Europeans are keeping $1,000 more in their pocket than American citizens every month. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure you don't have quantitative data to show or to prove that point that you're making. I'm not talking about a small sample size.
Here's the thing. Actually, to be honest, there's plenty of qualitative data on it. Why? Because Americans, they're not even suggesting that it's not true. You know, there's no one in government, in the U.S. government, that's suggesting it's not true. The only question is a moral and ethical question. Should you do it that way? That's the moral question. And so what's going on in the U.S.
It hasn't been addressed. That's why they haven't been able to comment on it. It hasn't been addressed. I'm pretty sure somebody made a comment to a press secretary. I'm pretty sure they would go research it, see if it's true, and then they would come back with.
You pretty sure? You trust them? You trust them? You trust them?
You can't get things that have data to it.
So you trust them?
It's hard to.
You trust them? That's what you're saying.
It's not an issue. It's not an issue of trust. They go, they research, and then they come back.
But you you didn't research
real data,
so you trust them because you didn't research it.
No,
so you trust them.
No, I'm making an argument that you made a claim. You made a substantiated claim that they bring in $1,000 more. I say you do not have. Yeah. You do not have the data showing if that's true.
No, I do have the data. What are you talking about? Where do you think I came up with this from? You think I haven't been doing it? So you saying
where's the source?
You saying that I just made that up out of the blue?
You didn't make it up. What is your source?
Oh, because I know I didn't make it up. Because
I believe you.
Because we've been talking about it.
I know you did it.
We've been talking about it here. The sources is all governmental sources. The sources is every.
Give me one.
What do you mean one for what?
Give me one source.
For what?
The data that you're citing. Europeans or whatever.
It's compiled data from every European government. So it's not one.
From every European government.
So you hear right there, you're asking the wrong question and you can't get the right answer asking it. You see,
I'm asking you for your source. There's nothing else.
Because it's not one. And so
that doesn't make sense. Give me a source.
One source?
I'm not asking you for one source. Give me a source that you're pulling this data from.
A source from what? A source about what?
You want the source showing.
About? Yeah, go ahead.
A source showing, on average, that you bring a comparative analysis to America. That the Scandinavian countries, the European countries bring in $1,000 more than their American counterparts.
And individuals, and on average,
individuals,
the average person, the average taxpayer, the average taxpayer, the average person.
Okay, where's the data?
You can easily look that up. It's all it's going to do is pull the government
I'm asking you to help me. I don't know.
Okay, so let's
give me the source that I can go. What source?
It's not a source. That's the only thing I told you. You're asking for one website, one source.
What are you reading that I could go? I'm not asking for one.
And what I said is, when you're talking about European data, it's compiled data from all the governments.
Okay, where is it compiling from? Where's the one spot that I can find it?
Where's the one spot? So you saying you want a government?
If it's compiled, that means it's together.
No,
compiled means you're putting something together. So where is it all put together at that I can go find it?
I put the data together.
You?
Yeah, I did.
So you're an economist?
No, I'm not an economist. But do you trust? So you trust. So in other words,
what data are you using?
So in other words,
what's your sample size?
So in other words,
what is your sample size?
In other words, a person that told you how much they pay in taxes, you could look it up yourself. A person that told you what they get for their taxes, you could look it up yourself too.
That's not the argument. You said $1,000. You bring $1,000 more.
A person is telling you that, right?
Okay.
And you could validate it if you wanted. A person who told you that, and you could validate it if you wanted, because it is true. It's just there. You know what I mean? It's facts, right? A person that's telling you this, you trust the government in the United States of America. You trust the government in the United States of America, right? You trust that they would tell you what I told you. That's what you're saying, right?
I don't know what you're stating right now.
Oh, okay. I'm just curious because you made it seem like you did it. You're an economist. No, it's not me. Don't you understand that this is not a secret? It's not a secret. The only people it's a secret to is American citizens. You're asking, but I'm
asking you for your source. Even the people that comment are saying he's not going to believe facts or data. I'm asking you for your source.
It's not a
I'm asking you,
source.
what is
You
your
mean
source?
Sources. What are your sources? It's plural.
Sources.
Yeah, it is. It
Sources
is.
plural.
I'm the source.
What are your
It's
sources?
source, but I'm drawing
You're the
data.
source.
Yeah, but I'm
How
drawing
big is your
data
sample
from the source.
size?
The sample size is 450 million European citizens
You've talked to 450 million
no, that's where
Europeans.
that's where the data is.
You said you are the source.
I didn't say my opinion. You said
You
that.
said you are the source.
And hold on, and I didn't finish. You didn't. You just stopped me. And the sample size is 450 million European citizens. And
you've talked to
hold on, see, you're doing it again,
citizens.
and you're doing it again. And the other sample size is 350 million American citizens. And the data is all drawn from government data. There it is, across all of these different European countries and the United States of America. So let's get to it. There's the answer. Let's get to it now. On average, now look, on average, using only official government sources from the USA and European nations. You see, that's easy to type. That's easy to qualify.
Okay. You type it. What comes up?
Yeah.
What comes up?
European nations. How much more does the average, and anybody could do this, European resident or citizen take home after paying their taxes and living expenses?
In your chat, while you're typing, I'm listening to you. Your chat said, I gave no evidence. I just want them to understand how evidence works and fact-based debate. I haven't given a claim. I haven't made a substantiated claim that I needed to back by evidence. Everything that I've said has pretty much been my opinion on Trump. So you can, give facts or data on someone's opinion about a politician, just so they know.
Oh yeah, that's about a politician, but you can give facts and data.
Yeah,
you can give facts and data on what
absolutely
I just said,
about other things. But I know, but I haven't made any claims that would need facts or data. I just wanted to clarify that for the chat. I haven't made any statements that would need. All of my stuff has been opinions. My opinions on Trump. So.
And again, this is just a query. I mean, because I've looked over this a million times. We've had this conversation here a million times, and it should be troubling to American citizens, And again, there's no secret that Europeans have universal health care. That's not a secret. There's no secret that the EU people have universal education. That's not a secret. These are knowns, and it's not a secret that the U.S. doesn't have it. So, I mean, if
that's not the argument. You said you guys bring in $1,000 more.
Well, yeah,
than U.S. workers.
Yeah, exactly. No, I'm saying
I'm asking, where do you get that data from?
The average person, the average resident, the average citizen, after paying their expenses. Okay. So I'm just doing a fresh query, a search here. You can do this a million times. Now.
So what am I typing in? I'm typing in, does Europeans bring in $1,000 more? What would I say?
Yeah, I'm going to put this up. I'm just going to listen. Let's hear it.
Okay.
Here we go.
I'm not saying you're wrong. All I'm asking is for sources. That's it. So I can do the research myself after you give me the source. I said, okay.
Yeah, I mean,
I did my research. He's right.
The sources for this only need to be government agencies, because this is the source for anyone. The World Health Organization or anybody else would always be citing the government's own sources first. They might do comparative data after that from NGOs on the ground or things like that, but they're always using government sources. But I told this time only use government sources. That's what I said, because that's the only thing some people want, right? So whether that's realistic or not, that's a different question, but that I'm not concerned about that. But here, let's go.
2024 to 2026
from
the OECD, Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development.
You've never heard me say you're wrong. I've given you my opinion about things, and
Yo,
I just
bro,
ask
yo,
you for
brother,
data.
brother,
I
brother.
deal in data. I won't say anybody is wrong.
Don't worry about saying whether I'm wrong. It's not a matter for me. It's not even a matter of that, because trust me, you know what I'm saying? I'm living proof that I'm right. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm just telling you again. I've qualified life on both continents, and that is what I'm speaking about. So
You're saying the life is easier in Denmark.
Listen. So in anthropology, that matters. In science, anthropology matters. So the person that you're talking to, it has spent 20 years living in Europe and 30 years living in the United States, 25 years living in Europe and 30 years living in the United States, growing up, being born and raised there. So what I'm telling you, I've got qualified experience on it, which made me want to speak about it. You see what I mean? So it's not like
you use anthropology as an example, but you never studied. You lived. That is a study of different societies.
Listen. What I said is that any anthropologist knows that. The fact that I've lived in both places.
But you're not an anthropologist. You lived there doesn't mean you were studying the societies in there.
Are you an anthropologist?
I never claimed.
Okay,
so
listen to my statement. So listen to my statement. Okay. I said anthropologists know that qualified experience.
No, you're changing it.
Well, okay. Well, either way, I'm telling you what my meaning is, and you get that. You see what I mean? This is all.
I do. I understand it.
Yeah. So we know anthropologists would want to be on the ground while they're looking at their numbers and their data. They would want to know how real this data really plays out, and that's what I'm telling you. I can qualify that. You see what I mean? I'm not just looking at the data. I'm saying, yeah, that's actually how it works. But here. So let me just open this up, because I want to make sure everybody can see what's here as much as possible, because the screen changes a little depending on what's being said. So I'm going to bring this back and start it over.
Okay.
Let me see here.
At the Statistical Office of the EU and the U.S. Bureau of Economic Analysis, B. 1. The raw cash gap, disposable income. According to the OECD Household Dashboard, the United States consistently maintains the highest net adjusted disposable income globally. This figure represents what a household has left after income and wealth taxes. United States, $62,722 USD/PPP. Luxembourg, $47,336 USD/PPP. Germany, $42,417 USD/PPP. EU average, $33,500 USD/PPP. Finding: the average American household takes home approximately $29,000 more in raw cash annually than the average European household. 2. The monthly expenses offset. While Americans have more cash, European government sources, Eurostat, highlight social transfers in kind. These are services provided by the state that Americans must pay for out of their take-home pay. Expense category: typical U.S. out-of-pocket. Typical EU out-of-pocket. Healthcare $9,524 per capita. $4,924 per capita, mostly tax-funded. Education $400-600, MO. Student loans, near $0, publicly funded. Childcare $1,200-2,000, MO. $200-500, MO. Subsidized. Finding: once you subtract the private costs of healthcare and education, which are prepaid via taxes in Europe, the gap narrows significantly.
Hold on, man.
Though the U.S. still...
Hold on, because you talking in the middle of it. You see, there was something significant you just started talking over. Now, what it says here is that...
I didn't hear anything. I'm sorry.
You didn't hear anything?
No, I didn't hear anything. So you were playing a video?
Yeah, so let me state it.
Okay.
Let me state it, because maybe you can't hear it for some reason, because you're on... Maybe it didn't come back in the Discord. That's true. I appreciate you telling me. Now, comparing take-home pay after taxes and essential expenses between the U.S. and Europe is complex because of how different their economic structures are. Using the official data from the OECD, Eurostat, right, and the U.S. Bureau of Economic Analysis, BEA, the answer depends entirely on whether you value raw cash or social safety nets, right? So,
well, there we go.
The raw numbers. Disposable income. According to the OECD, Better Life Index and Eurostat, the United States consistently is the highest household net adjusting disposable income in the world. The metric represents the money a household has available for spending or saving after taxes, right? So there we have it. Now, region, United States.
Okay, so that would go against what you said, because you said you guys.
Yeah, but just continue to listen though. You see it.
Okay.
Yeah, because it's not over. It's only just starting. And again,
all right.
And again, this is what I'm asking, or I'm not asking. I would say it would just be wise to. Every American needs to go past the title. Stop letting legacy media tell you the title and get them to break down all the details, because you are the one that's flipping their bill. Legacy media got a tax break, the biggest tax break from Donald Trump that has ever existed in the United States of America. So again, you might want more than the title. You might want more than the title. Now here,
you saw what you just read prove that Americans, it goes against your claim slightly. I know you.
No. What I said to you, you already said it. You already said it, and I told you, wait for the detail. And you should expect detail from your government representatives. You should expect detail on this matter from legacy media, because they got the biggest tax break in history of the world.
I understand.
So that means the breaks that they got, you didn't get. That's what that means. So I'm just saying.
You just read it. Your research. You just read it. That
no, I didn't read it. No, I didn't read it.
More disposable income. No, I'm saying.
No, I didn't read it. I just started reading it.
So is there any other part that will take us back to your point of you having more disposable income in Denmark or in the Europe, the $1,000 that you spoke about? Because what you just read, it says Americans have more disposable income. So I'm trying to wait for you to get to the part to where it says Denmark has more disposable income, $1,000 that they take extra. Because I didn't read that. What you just read,
taking
I
up a
didn't
lot
read
of time,
that.
bro. I only started talking. You took up more time than me. You want to hear what this has to say?
I do. I do. So, I'm listening.
So let me read you what the answer is. Okay. It is not just one sentence. It doesn't just stop there. Okay. Regional country, right? Net disposable income, quote unquote, right? This is what they say is net. United States, 62,000 a year, or you could say 63, right? Luxembourg, 48, right? Germany, let's say 43. France, 35, right? EU average, 33. Now, purchasing power, right? Because that intersects with your disposable income, right? Purchasing power, I would think so. When you go to the hospital, your purchasing power matters. How much does your dollar get you for that health care you pay for? Right? How much health care do you get for?
No, that's only if you're paying out of pocket, though.
No, paying out of pocket. No. You pay more for health
unless
care.
You're paying a deductible.
Health care costs more. Health care costs 3 to 4 times more in the United States, period, per person. That's what it costs.
You just said
it's more expensive.
Disposable income intersects into what you can buy.
Every American citizen pays more for health care than anybody else in the Western government. No, that's called purchasing power. That's called purchasing power. That's what that's called.
And you said
let me continue. Let me continue. Okay. Yes, it does, because that's obvious. Purchasing power, PPP, adjusts for the different cost of goods in each country. Brother, just listen. You asked a great question. Just listen to the answer, right? The verdict. On paper, the average American takes home approximately 20 to 29 more per year in cash than the average European. On paper. Notice it said on paper. Okay. The monthly expense catch. The reason often feel wealthier despite having less cash due to social transfers in kind. In the U.S., the take-home pay may cover several massive expenses that are largely prepaid via higher taxes in Europe. Right? Prepaid. So, healthcare, an average American family pays around $6,000 to $8,000 annually in out-of-pocket premiums and deductibles. In most EU nations, this is zero. You see, And on top of that,
I don't care. You just read the first part. You're reading and going over what you just read. What you just read. The Americans bring home more money than you guys do. Your original statement, it contradicts your original statement, which was you guys bring home more money than Americans. What you just read contradicted that.
Okay, so you don't want to hear the answer.
You just read the answer.
No, I'm not finished.
Now you're going into a whole.
No, this is this.
Okay.
This is all part
Finish
of the
reading.
answer. The answer's got 2, 3, 4 parts to it. You don't want to hear the answer? It's explaining to you in great detail, and it's going to give you the references. Don't you want to hear that?
It just.
No. You heard point 1. See, it says it right here on the screen. You can't see the screen. That's why it says.
I can see it.
Point 1, raw numbers. Point 2 is something else. Point 3, and see when you get down here, then you're gonna get the full answer, and then we're gonna ask some more questions. Now look, back to purchasing power. Okay, monthly expenses catch. It's a catch.
Look,
right?
It's just now, told you to.
It's a catch, quote unquote. It's a catch. The reason Europeans often feel wealthier, despite having less cash, is due to social transfers in kind. In the U.S., the take-home pay must cover several massive expenses that largely are prepaid via higher taxes. So a lot of that extra money that you're talking about, you actually spend on shit like healthcare. It's not really extra. See,
so even with spending extra on healthcare, we still bring home more money than they do.
You bring home. No, you bring home. You don't bring it home. First of all. See, bring home is after you pay your expenses and your taxes. See, so there it is. You know, now
this is filibustering. You just read that the Americans bring home more money than the EU.
Because your health care, you don't consider your health care an expense. That's the problem. And so this is where this factors in. Healthcare, the average American family pays roughly $6,000 to $8,000 annually out of pocket premiums and deductibles. In most EU nations, this is 0. You understand? This is a number to remember.
I guess.
See, yeah. Oh no,
it doesn't. No,
it doesn't. No, it doesn't.
You said people in the EU bring home more money, and they don't.
After their expenses, and our expenses. Healthcare is part of our expenses. It's paid for in our taxes. You don't consider healthcare part of your expenses. That's the problem. So healthcare.
What does that mean?
That means that extra money you think you got, you spending on all this other shit that you really can't afford. That's what that means.
That wasn't what the argument was. The argument was who's bringing more money. You just read that Americans bring average more money.
In theory,
the argument is over. There's no in theory. You just read hard fact.
Because that's not. You only are willing to hear part 1 of the answer. That's the problem. Soon as I get into part 2, you shut down all conversation. You don't want to hear.
What is part 2?
You don't. So stop interrupting part 2.
Is part 2 going to prove your point that the EU brings in more money?
You can only know if you listen, if the point is proven. Okay. If you're not capable of listening, then you can't know.
I'm listening.
So just there you go. I would suggest that would be the best way to do it. Okay.
Can I just before you read it? Can I just say
just wait. Just wait. No. I'm getting to the point. Just be patient. Because I'm doing something. I'm doing something that somebody else ain't do for you. Okay. So here, now you hopped up. So now participate. Okay. Now healthcare, the average American family pays roughly $6,000 to $8,000 annually in out-of-pocket premiums and deductibles. In most EU nations, this is 0 or a nominal fee. Education, another thing here. Let's factor in education. European citizens often pay near 0 for university in the U.S. And that's also
they're not bringing more money in than us.
You're not waiting for the answer. Okay, I said home after all your expenses and your taxes are paid. That's what I said. Okay, don't change it now. And you may not consider healthcare an expense or education. I don't know, but let's get to it. Okay. Now, education. European citizens often pay near zero for university and technical school. In the U.S., the average monthly student loan payment is approximately $500 a month. Childcare. A lot of people don't consider this an expense. I don't know why. Childcare in the countries like Germany or Denmark, childcare is heavily subsidized, often under $300 a month. In the U.S., it can easily exceed $1,500, right? This $300 a month is in the tax system. Okay, so let's see here. Cost of living adjustment.
You're further destroying your argument.
No, I'm not, because you're not listening. No, I'm not. No, I'm not. No, 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 no,
they pay zero. They could have more money in their pocket. That's why you're interrupting me.
No. You don't change.
That's why you're interrupting me.
No. You don't change the agreement. You don't change the agreement. You are to listen right now. Wait till it's finished.
Yeah, that's
wait till it is finished. Wait. No. I'm not. Okay. You are filibustering because you're not doing what you promised.
I'm not.
You're not doing what you promised.
I didn't promise anything.
Yes, you did. You said you're going to wait for the answer. I'm not finished. There's 3 parts.
You just gave me the answer.
No, I didn't, because I didn't finish the answer. So just stop. And you get it. It seems like you don't want to hear the answer. So here, let's continue.
Listening.
Let's hear it. It's not that hard. It's not that hard.
How long is it going to take? How much are you going to read?
It's going to take until you stop interrupting. That's how long. So 3, part 3.
Because you already know. You just read.
Okay. Part 3, the cost of living adjustment. While the U.S. has higher salaries, the cost of living in major U.S. hubs is significantly higher than many European counterparts. You even asked the question about housing and, how expensive is the cost of living. This is important. According to 2026 data, average rent in the U.S. is roughly 30 to 50% higher than the EU.
But yet we bring more
stop
money
talking. Rent. Stop talking. Average rent in the U.S. is roughly 30 to 50% higher than the EU average. Utilities and services. While energy costs fluctuates, the total basket of goods for a standard lifestyle is generally cheaper in most European, excluding Switzerland and Norway. Okay, so we talking about, what is that? Energy costs. So that's electricity, gas, right? Now, summary table. Who takes home more? Okay. Cash in hand, USA is very high. Europe is very low. Hold on. Listen to the answer. Listen to the answer.
Yeah, I'm listening.
Listen to the answer.
You already said it. Continue.
No, I didn't.
Okay.
In college, you would fail. I'm just telling you.
I have a degree. Do you have a degree?
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You failed.
Do you have a degree?
No, you know damn well you wouldn't do that in a college class.
I'm asking you, do you have a degree?
No, you know damn well there's
you just made an ad hominem too cool.
You know if you behave that way in college, you
do you
have
fail. A degree? I have a degree. I didn't fail.
But what difference does it make?
I didn't fail.
But what difference?
It makes a big difference. You just said I would fail.
No, but you didn't cut. No, but you didn't cut off your professor. No, you didn't.
I did. I almost got kicked out of school. I had to write my academic advisor.
I tell you what.
As to why I needed to stay in school.
Well, I tell you what. I'll just put you on mute because maybe your professor is fucked up. So I don't know who that professor was. So in any case, let's see here. Now summary table. Who takes home more? Metric. USA average. Europe average. Cost in hand. The cost in hand is very high in the U.S. In Europe, the cost in hand is considered moderate. Tax rate, lower in the U.S., 20 to 30%. Higher in Europe, 35 to 50%. Health education costs out of pocket in the U.S. Health and education out of pocket. Prepaid in Europe via taxes. So our taxes is higher, but our health and education is built in the tax system. Right? Safety net, minimal for the U.S. citizen. European high income, safety net is robust. You get that? European, right? You see that? You see that?
Means nothing.
You see that? Now, no, it actually means a lot. Bottom line, if you are a high earner, top 20%, you take home significantly more in the U.S. after expenses. If you're an average or lower income earner, you often have more effective disposable income. Listen, you see, he don't like this last part. Here it is. Here's your answer. Here's the answer, and you still not able to keep your lips shut though. Come on now. Mm-hmm. Let me speak. Okay. I let you come up. Let me answer the question. You're not a kid, bro. Let me answer the question.
I'm listening.
Right. This should be fun even if you have to wait. Okay? Because it's good dialogue, but if you're not going to learn how to wait, man, you messing it up. Mm-hmm. All right? So you got to wait your turn. Now, bottom line, if you're a high earner, top 20%, you take home significantly more in the U.S. even after expenses. If you
there we go.
You see, there it is. You couldn't wait. You couldn't wait, could you?
Yeah.
So
I know.
No, you couldn't wait, and you need to work on that because I'm the one that's gracious and I invited you up. Now you got to play by the rules, though. You know what I'm saying? Now I'm gonna start the sentence over. Okay. Bottom line: if you're a high earner, top 20%, you take home significantly more in the USA, even after expenses. If you are an average or lower income earner, you often have more effective disposable income in Europe because your monthly expenses for healthcare, transport, and education are subsidized. Okay? Meaning they're paid for in advance. Now, right there is the issue you need to be dissecting. You need to be dissecting why, right? An average or lower income.
You never determined. You didn't say middle class. It says you never. I understand what you're saying. I see your point. I agree with your point. I'm not disagreeing with your point, but you didn't say we're not talking about the middle class.
No, it doesn't matter. Don't you realize that? Because
we said in America. We said clearly in America. We didn't put any stipulations on class.
Listen. Who do you think the middle class and the poor are in America? Do you think the top percent in the U.S. is the average American?
Pay most. They pay most of the taxes in America, almost 70%.
The top 20%.
The top 10% pays almost 70% of the taxes here in America.
The top 20% is not the average American.
I'm talking about taxes.
I'm talking about the average American. That's what I said in the beginning. The average American takes home more disposable money. Of their money, the average European takes home more after their expenses. That's what I said, the average. Okay. Now, see, this is just what it is. And this is not up to debate. Now, you can ask what the sources are, and I think you should. Now, look. Give me all the sources, because I want to wrap this up, used in this report, fully spelled out as ULRs so I can share. And I think, this is what Americans, more Americans need to talk about. The data is out there. Legacy media needs to talk about it. Right wing, left wing. Everyone is failing and talking about it in the United States of America. Period. Donald Trump is failing.
We're talking about what?
Donald Trump is failing to talk about it in the United States of America. Obama.
To talk about what, though?
To talk about what we just discussed.
With EU
what did we just
residents
discuss?
Bringing in more money?
What did we just discuss?
Which country brings in more money, or which parts bring in more money? Disposable income, as you would say.
You don't remember.
But you
don't remember. You don't remember.
I do remember. I just told you. You said y'all bring in $1,000 more or whatever in the EU. Then when you read the data, it said America on average, and you said America brings in more. But then you said the so-called working class or the middle class.
No, I didn't. What I said is that on average, when you compare Americans and Europeans after paying their expenses and their taxes, on average, Europeans are taking home $1,000 more of their dollars on average after paying their taxes and their expenses. That's what I said compared to Americans. That's what I said. Now here, I just put this up. I'm going to put this in the chat, this little link. And I'm going to post it up there so people can see it for themselves, and they can go and review the references also. Actually, I'm going to put up 2 posts here. So this is the references here. I'm going to put that up there so people can go in the chat and get access to it. And then I'm going to pin this one also. Now, in any case, let me just go ahead and give you the floor and let you, because that took a minute. You know what I'm saying? I didn't think it would take it that long, but I just most of the people that come to my channel, they know we talk about this often. You see what I mean? And I would really encourage people to disprove what they just heard. And the reason why I would encourage people to try to disprove what they just heard, and I don't mean in 5 minutes. What I mean is go back, do all the research, and come back with an alternative view that shows that information you just reviewed is incorrect. And the reason why I encourage people to do that, because it's your ass on the line. It's not mine. If I am correct, it's your ass on the line. If I'm incorrect, then hey, it should feel pretty good. Your life should feel pretty good right now.
Well, that sounds you're much more intelligible than most people that just use ad hominem attacks who attack a person.
Okay, like I appreciate that. Yeah, I wouldn't do that. Yeah, I wouldn't do that to you.
No, I could tell you're a learned person, and I appreciate that. People of low IQ normally they attack the person's, the person themselves. They don't attack their argument.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so I sincerely appreciate that.
No worries about that. No worries about that. No worries about that. I wouldn't.
Yeah, but listen. I agree with what you said. I've read and I see why you wanted me to continue to listen to what you were saying. It makes a lot of sense. You're not talking about me. I'm thinking as America in the whole. I think we bring home more money, but it's the middle class that makes up the
majority.
The middle class makes up the majority. But, yeah, but also the 1% or the top 10% here in America, they pay most of the taxes. So when you say the middle class, they do. Look it up first. Look it up first.
Yeah, but
I think they do.
Okay, but what do you mean by that? They pay most of the taxes.
So I would say the top.
You said hold on. Top 1% pay most of the taxes.
1 to 10%. Yeah, top 1 to 10% pays more. They pay almost 40 to 45%. I think even higher than that. So their revenue.
No.
Yeah, the top. Look it up.
The top 1% don't even pay income taxes. So
look it up. All you have to do, and here in America, they pay most of the state tax. Yes, they do. Research. I know you just researched that little, thing. They do. That I think is between the top 1% and 10% pays most of the taxes. And I've been out of school for a little minute, so my information may be a bit antiquated, but I believe that part has not changed. I think that's still accurate.
Okay, and let me see. Hold on. Also, hold on, let me see. Also, is it the top 1% who pays?
Or just type in who pays the most taxes in America.
Okay.
And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I'll admit it. If I'm wrong, I got it.
In America, in the USA. Hold on, in the USA. Yeah, because just offhand, I believe 70% is like federal income tax. So it kind of seems to me like most 1% don't pay income taxes. You know what I mean? But let's see here, because like you said, it's a lot of detail, and sometimes you can't just recite off of the top of the head all the details. Sometimes you got to revert back to the actual data.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
I do that. I just revert from from things that I know from the past. So I could be wrong, but I don't think that piece of data has changed, or at least changed significantly.
Okay. Yeah. Well, let me see here. Why is it taking so long to come back? Let me see what is that all about? Is it just because it's slow, or what? Okay. Here we go. Let me try to type it again. Maybe it's my internet is getting slow. I got to chime out actually soon, but let me do this.
Okay.
Put this one back in. See if it acts better. Oh, you know what I'm gonna do? I can also open this one out while that works. I'll open up a second one, and
actually, put the same you did all the research on the other one. You gave me some information. Let me try this one.
Okay.
Who pays?
Oh, here it is. It came up. Go ahead. You just keep looking on it. It says here, based on the latest data from the U.S. Department of Treasury fiscal year, the Tax Foundation 2025, an analyst of IRS records, individual income taxes remain the primary engine of the U.S. government. That's what I'm saying. It's individual income taxes. How much of the budget is paid by income taxes? Individual income taxes make up single largest share of the federal revenue. However, it's important to distinguish between federal and state levels as their funding source is different. Okay, federal level.
We're saying who pays the most taxes in America.
Right, it's getting to that. Federal level, as the early 2026 individual income taxes account for approximately 52% of all federal revenue. When combined with the payroll taxes, Social Security, Medicare, these individual-based taxes fund about 84% of the federal budget, right? State level, income taxes are less dominant at a state level, typically making up to 20 to 30% of the state revenue. Most states rely on heavily. Okay, so let's go. Does the top 1% pay more? Pay most? It says yes. According to the most recent IRS data analysts in 2025, the U.S. tax system is highly progressive, meaning the share of taxes paid increased sharply with income. Top 1%. This group earns roughly 22% of all adjusted gross income, but pays approximately 40% of all federal taxes income. Okay, so the top 10%, this group pays 72% of the federal taxes. Bottom 50%.
Oh, that went up.
It went up. Okay, it might have. I mean, I'm sure it has because some of the the laws change every 4 years. Taxpayers in the bottom half of the income. So this is probably reflecting. This is reflecting Biden term. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Right. The bottom 50% taxpayers in the bottom half of the income distribution earning under 50,000 pay about 2.3 to 3% of all federal income taxes. Right. So key distinctions. While the top 1% pays the most income tax, lower and middle income earners contribute a larger portion of their paycheck to payroll taxes. You see, so I think what's happening here in the U.S. is that often in the argument of and this makes it clearer here. Top 0.1 pay 33. This is the most highest bracket. 0.1% pay 33% average federal taxes, right? Tax rate. Right. Top 1% pay 26%. Top 10% pay 20, and bottom pay 3.7. Right. That's of the federal, right? Of their federal. Now, if you say of the overall, I think what they pay into it, right? So fully spelled out.
Yeah.
U.S. Department of Treasury fiscal data 2026. Okay. Okay. They have the data too here. So I think overall what's happening is that people say we pay more. The top pay more. But when you look at what percentage of their salary they pay, you see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. It's like it's changing. Yeah. The lower class pays more of their salary, ends up paying more. You see what I mean? Like, so,
I see what you mean.
Yeah. So you could say it, and this is what I kind of mean. Like when they have these talking points, it's important to dissect the detail of what it means overall, because sure, it could be true that the top percent pay that, right? But we also pay other ways to them. Like we pay for the military, we pay for the government, right? We're paying for a lot of stuff, paying into a lot of stuff. So although, and the question is, who gets the benefit? And do people have the right? I mean, what let's say you pay, let's say you're an American, I'm an American. Let's say you got $1 billion, right? And let's say I make $50,000 a year. Who's better? Are you better than me? Am I better than you?
If what? If we both, you said if one makes 50,000 and what was the other one?
Yeah. If you make $1 billion and I make 50,000 a year, who's better?
Yeah.
Who's better? Like, just who's better?
Like who's more financially stable?
No,
I would say the one that's making $1 billion.
No, who has more of a right to basic things, to just the basics, healthcare, access to education. You see what I mean? Because let's say, we know that in a capitalistic society, money counts for a lot, right? We know that money gets you a lot of access. Without money, if the money people don't get behind you, can you be president? You see what I mean?
Probably not. Yeah.
Yeah. So when we start adding all these things up, and then the lifestyle that you live, who's more likely to be stopped by the police? A billionaire or a person that makes $50,000 or less?
Yeah. Probably the person that makes the less money.
You see what I mean? So when you add all of this stuff together, the structure is kind of designed to just alleviate the billionaires from pretty much anything. And the brunt of the government usually comes down on the everyday person, because the everyday person is the one who feels like they're not earning enough. They're not able to pay for childcare. We talking about basic things. While you never hear the billionaire say, I can't pay for childcare, I can't pay for my kid to go to university. But childcare and university is necessary. Childcare and education, if it's not university, technical school, that's necessary. You see what I mean? To be productive, to be constructive and productive, And so it kind of, in my view, it seems like, yeah, maybe the wealthy, they pay they pay more in one way, but they're not paying. When you look at what's left, they have a way more left. They got a lot more left than what they pay. And the average American,
but in contention to that, though,
the average American doesn't have a lot more less after they pay all this stuff. The average American has barely anything left. So you see what I'm saying?
But you don't have to. But the thing is, so I agree with certain aspects of trickle economics. But what you need to do is you need to raise the minimum wage to approximately $35. The way they subsidize raising that is they cut hours. And then they'll cut down the workforce in order to, level out, having that extra expense of the wage raising. So you make them battle, well, work harder. You make these corporate, because the company that I work for, they made 1 year, I want to say 15 million. And then the next following year was close to 20 to 25 million. So I didn't see any of that residual. They made all of that capital, and I wasn't able to, I didn't see it on my paycheck. So if you force these companies to, they raise the wages of their workers, then you can start to see us get by a little more. But these companies are making all of this money, so they need to research. They need to research how much annually is your company bringing in. Do you see a significant increase on your paycheck? And if not, then you need to, find out your whatever officials and stuff and say, hey, you need to raise the minimum wage. You need to raise. I believe if they raise it to $35, I mean, I think it would send these corporate America into a frenzy, and it would really help, but nobody's fighting or arguing because they're scared that if they do raise it, the companies are doling out all of this money. But what if they don't get it on the back end? What if the consumer doesn't buy into their product or, into their company, and then they're going to go, essentially they're going to fall apart. But I digress.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I mean, that's been one of the thoughts. Like, that's an argument that's made. That's an argument that's made. But I would say like this. I don't believe myself that they're gonna run. I think it's just belittling to the American people. Listen, this is what makes the U.S. great. The United States is great because it has 350 million people paying into the same pool. That's what makes it great. One country with 350 million people being directed in one direction. That's strong. What makes Europe strong, and it's getting stronger? 450 million people pointed in a direction, pulling into the same effort. That's not happening everywhere in the world. Russia got 150 million people. China has a huge potential because they got 1 billion people. India has huge potential. You see what I mean? But so balancing that out, in some other countries, but obviously 350 million is a whole lot of people in one country, right? It's not too many other countries that can rival that. So that's kind of where we get our power from. If you just leave the U.S. and say, oh, I'm going to go somewhere else, yeah, you might You might be able to get them to get you to pay less taxes, but will they like you? How long will you be there? You see what I mean?
Yeah.
How long will it last?
Yeah.
Because what makes the U.S. strong is the fact that we have all these people pulling into the same thing, you know? And once you break that dynamic down, that's my theory. Once you break that dynamic down, you're kind of more vulnerable, you know? But one other thing I would say, I'm not going to look it up because I got to go. I would encourage people to do the data on, just like we did today, and do it again and again, because depending on how you ask the questions, the answers can come out a little different, right? But I would say do the data on what does the taxes you pay that you pay out of your income, what does it go to? And do comparative data, right? Because when I did the comparative data, I found out that most of the taxes that are paid in the U.S., right? In Denmark, something like, what is it? What percent of it? Maybe almost 75% of the taxes people pay, between 70 and 75% of the taxes people pay go to things you can see in your face: roads, transportation, public transportation, hospitals, healthcare, education, childcare. This 5-week vacation that everybody gets. These kind of things you can see. Every person can see them. Then the other 25% goes to shit like military and stuff like that, right? Other things that maybe you can't really see up close. The average person can't touch, can't feel the effects of, right? And when you compare that to the U.S., it goes down to like 30%, bro. 30% of the taxes Americans pay, they can't, that's what they get. That's what they can see. 30% of the taxes they pay are affecting their daily life. 70%, it almost doesn't touch them at all, because it's going to things that have no direct impact on their life. And I would encourage Americans to look at that, to start doing the data that way, because it's your tax, is you paying the taxes, number one, and you're the citizen. It's a reason why the country says one vote, one person, one vote, right? I mean, even though you got the electoral system, right? But the conversation about citizenship overall is about freedom. What freedoms come with citizenship? And how free are you in your citizenry, right? That, to me, it's like, that's what the conversation's got to be about. How free do people feel? If you're always haggling and worried from month to month about a bill, that's not freedom. That's not freedom, And I'll give you an example. How much does your cell phone cost you a month?
I would say maybe 100 and something.
Yeah, and you get what, 100? You get unlimited data, unlimited phone calls.
Yeah. Well, I just dropped down to 2 phones. I have 3 phones. I dropped down to 2. So my company was paying for the other 2.
Yeah, just your personal one. Just your personal one. Yeah, if you could do that.
Yeah, I would say maybe like 2, one something, like maybe 150.
You get unlimited data or what?
Yeah. Unlimited data.
But you don't use all that unlimited. How much do you use? About what, 100 a month gigabytes or what?
I would say roughly about maybe 100 gigabytes, because I don't do social media. I just call.
Oh no, you probably do less than. Yeah, but but yeah, because I understand it now. But me, look, my phone bill is $14 a month, man. I got 100 gigabytes of data. Yeah, I got 100 gigabytes of data, right, and unlimited calls, and I can call. I got like 5 hours of EU calls too, or 5 or 6 hours of EU calls. So what I'm saying is that it's corporations, bro. It's corporations, man. There's a reason why people are getting rich, man. And in my mind, I can only tell you my reflections as an American citizen, born and raised in the U.S., moved to Denmark as an adult. I can only tell you my reflections based on that. But to me, it's like, it seems like you're a more prouder citizen when you want the standard of every citizen to mean something.
Mm-hmm.
To me, that would make me feel more American. Like, I'm American, like, and everybody be like, yeah, we know, because you guys have a good standard of living. You know what I'm saying? Your shit is in order. You got rights. You're an American. You got rights. Yeah. We don't have, but it's not like that. Americans don't have rights that other Western people have. That's what it simply comes down to. And it may sound hard to say it that way, but when you look at the detail, why am I paying $14, $15 a month for the same phone you got? What's the point?
Yeah,
somebody's still getting paid rich off of this phone I use. You know what I'm saying? A corporation's getting paid. So what's the difference? Why? You know, and you look at the U.S. infrastructure. Why are the electricity lines still above ground? Why? What's the point? At this point, where's this money going to? Like, what's that going to do?
And Denmark is not like that?
No, man. 80% of the lines, man, for years now been underground now, just because of, you know, anticipation of, you know, they don't want the electricity going out every time there's a storm. They want businesses and homes to people to stay in their homes when there's a storm. They want the businesses to stay open when there's a storm. You know, things like that we got to start thinking about with this tax system. And I just think Americans, don't get me wrong, I do like, everybody agrees. Even Denmark's a capitalistic country. The engine, the money, the engine works because it's capitalistic. You trade freely. You pay for what you sell, whatever you want to sell your product for, and people buy it because they think it's the best product, period, they can get, right? So and everyone doesn't get paid the same salary. No, that's not how it works. It's not socialist like that. You get paid for how much you work and your experience. That's what you get paid for.
Yeah.
Right. But
absolutely, I agree with that.
Yeah. But so that's what keeps people working. That's what keeps the engine turning, you know. But, you know, in the US, you know, I think there's a fine line between, you know, when it's freedom and when it becomes oppressive. You see what I mean? That same engine. And I just want Americans to look more into that, you know, so we don't fuck each other over, man, because, you know, right now, I think we're in a situation that we don't need to be in, you know, and and I think it's not necessarily left or right, but it's more about the details. Like, you know, why don't Americans feel like they're getting something out of life, man? Because that's what keeps you moving.
Yeah. You know? Yeah, I agree with you. I agree 100% with you. I think if you keep having a conversation, because I learned a lot from you tonight, especially when it comes to, you know, the taxes and how much you guys are bringing in home after all of your expenses and stuff, and you know a lot of things. So yeah, we just got to keep having conversation, and then you come up with different ideals and strategies on how to attack, you know, different problems, you know, that is still consistent. So yeah, man, it was awesome conversation. I got to check back in with you just on a low key personal level, see how, you know, Denmark is and everything. And, you know, definitely with the channel, man, y'all doing y'all thing.
I appreciate it, man. And you're welcome anytime, bro. I appreciate that. It's Pete, right?
Yeah. Okay. Mike P. Yeah.
Okay. All right, Mike. I got you, man. I appreciate you hopping up. All right.
Yeah, no problem, man. Y'all be easy.
Okay. No doubt. All right, everybody. That was Mike P. And so you see, actually, we had a good conversation, and it goes to show you that we got to kind of be reasonable, you know, regardless of what our perspectives are, because, you know, it's more important to get into some of the details in the communications, you know, and not just the surface level. So you could hear that maybe I might sound a little Democratic and he might sound a little Republican or Trump supporting, but actually we were still able to make some ground in our conversation that's useful. You know what I mean? And I really do have that feeling myself overall. Like I said, man, this little kid, 21 years old, went down to Mar-a-Lago with a damn shotgun. You know, of course, I would never suggest any kid do that. But when you talk about when I hear what the things he was talking about, he was pissed off about the Epstein files. He was pissed off about the cost of living, not being able to move out of his parents' house because he couldn't he tried to start a union at his job and no one wanted to join the union. The kid was pissed off. He might be a Trump supporter, but I recognize that. I understand that frustration. And so I think, you know, that's the direction we need to really go in, because obviously I would be thinking if you don't want the U.S. to move forward, then you don't want Americans making ground that way across parties. You don't want Americans agreeing on certain things. If you want to keep America down, the U.S. down, you don't want Americans finding common ground. So at least me and Mike, we were able to find some common ground there. You see what I mean? And I guess it also helps that I'm not necessarily a supporter. I'm not trying to hide any wrongdoing of anybody. And I look at it all the same. My perspective is like, shit, none of it is good enough. Hillary Clinton ain't good enough. Obama ain't good enough. Trump ain't good enough. Mike Johnson is definitely not good enough. All of this shit is like, it's just not good enough. You know what I'm saying? And we can definitely, not only can we do better, but we deserve better, because we have 350 million people all pulling in the same direction. And when we pull in the same direction, man, that's where our power comes from. That's where our power comes from. But it's not going to happen if we just can't concede to some basic common values and things that are relevant to us all. You know what I'm saying? So I was glad that Mike stepped up. You know what I'm saying? And also, I'm not the easiest host because I can be a rude ass. You know what I'm saying? But he didn't make me feel like I had to go there either. He kind of challenged me, and that was good because I had to sit there and say, okay, let me try to pull some of this information up before, because we do say things that I've looked into and we've had this conversation before on this channel, but it doesn't mean I have all the data right in front of me all the time. So he called me out and was like, okay, well, where's your data? And that's fair enough. That is fair enough. Where is the data to support your argument? So that's fair enough. And I can't argue against that. So I was happy to accommodate him on that. So big up to Mike for hopping up. Big up to everybody else for tuning in. I appreciate everybody. I will be back. I was a little bit late because it's my weekend, but I'll be back with everybody soon. Not at the normally scheduled time. So I will be doing some impromptus over this weekend. So it could be any time, but it's definitely going to be the late night stroll again. And before that, so this afternoon in the US, I think towards the evening, look forward to me doing another stream, and then the late night one after. So I appreciate everybody. Until then, have a good day. Enjoy the rest of your day and be safe. All right. Appreciate y'all. Yeah, great conversation, Purple. That was Dylan, Tay, Fries. What's up, man? There you go. Everybody else, I appreciate y'all. I'll be back. See ya.
I know how to see a whack MC when he bustin', but I just back away real cool, no fussin'. I'd rather go kicking in the streets with the bums and use the knowledge to collect some funds. Open a non-profit and build a damn school. And this is the story of how a great king rules. There's many that claim to know the local demographic, but don't have the nerve to tell you the truth. It's tragic, but I do, so sit back and let me spit this shit to you. You feel better when I spit this shit to you, despite the system trying to clamp down on the people. People will learn how to stand up to evil. Not evil that's across the globe, that's too far, but evil that lies in their own backyard. And fighting, it's not an option, they can't win. The government, it's not supposed to represent sin, but then again they do, and that's a problem. So let's go down and figure out how to solve them. It's not fun being a rapper that can't speak, but we do, yes, and plus we make fat beats. Yo, we smoke weed, break up trees. Listen, bringing fat beats, that is our mission. You wanted to see us, so boy, shut up and listen. Thelonious and Big Bennett, brother, check the vision. Mentalities, several different realities. Enter the Star Trek room when you hear the boom. I be the Walkman with the super bass. Automatic stop, yes, stereo cassette player. With the delayer, freaky lyrical sprayer. Extraterrestrial rhyme sayer. I be the poetical VIC/master of the ceremony. Testimony, won't you come step with me? I'm on a historical journey, kinda like Sigourney. Implore me to represent the attorney that represents my niggas, go figure. It's the card, they call me Uncle Bigger. Niggas love your blunts, down your liquors. I read the parallel to the fiction. You're fixated on this brother's nature. Relaxed behavior, I might save your change. Flip it, rearrange the whole concept. Yo, it's good for all your brain. Insane, psychotic, neurotic. black onyx, and hooked on phonics, just atomic, bees like a bonnet. Cut with the Asiatic, they all up on it. Rhyme static with the bombastic type of skill. You wonder, is this nigga Vic really for real? It's still, but only necessary in the berry. I'm milk like dairy, they quite contrary. That's scary, but I'm a dog in a prairie. I scurry to grab my bones and just bury. Lyrical flurry, go get your secretary with impeccable dictions. My style might vary, so get a hold of your own shit real fast. Fucking with us, we take it right out your ass. Prairie dogs chill while the other dogs howl. Too many dogs get sent to the pound. Back on the hill, me and my peeps just lounge. Prairie dogs, we keep it on the down. Splatter, don't like gun splatter. We try to climb the ladder, wicked men get better. They make it like splatter, but it really don't matter. Cause you know we coming back to our sons and our daughters. So father him the one who protects ya, and the mother she will never neglect ya. Through divine nature the people respect ya, and in this way I deliver my lecture. Sometimes I think about, does love still exist? Yeah, I have my doubts. On the street, I check out how brothers be living. Yo, let's just say, kid, it ain't no Thanksgiving. We got people shooting dope, ain't never heard of hope. We got others with the gat and the brothers with the fucking scope. As I enter the project center rec rooms, some brothers might see the doom. I see my nigga Paulo, fat pockets of papes. He knows the neighborhood biddies with all the dopest shapes. There goes Rollo with the blowout fro. He's got a gat, ayo niggas gots to go. No show is live with narrating, fuck Memorex. My nigga Rollo's got a gat at Paulo's chest. One slug blasted out, down boy died. Now show me some love, kid, it sounds like a fucking
yes, you
lie.
know the struggle goes on. People trying to survive, hold on. But we know it's been so long. Pain without a limit, so wrong.
Sometimes I think how the world come to this, a place where every man and woman needs a therapist. Mass confusion, people living in delusion, justify all the bullshit through the Constitution. Meanwhile, the masses struggle to survive. I think we're too busy to hear our people's cries. Singles mothers struggle to raise families. Genocide committed through famine and disease. I wonder if these things will ever cease to exist. I know it could if we cease and desist. Giving all the power to the industrialists, giving all our power to the damn commercialists. They see us just as being sheep in this world, that want us to do what we're told like boys and girls. Oh God, I wanna live another day so I can help provide equality
and
this
yes, you
day.
know the struggle goes on. People trying to survive, hold on. Though we know it's been so long. Pain without a limit, so wrong.
Everybody around the globe, open up your earlobe, your third eye, and then decipher the code. Through knowledge, understanding, then bring love into the concept instead of bling bling. Truth instead of bias, education unconventional methods, twisting, contorting God's message of love for every human being. Listen, motherfucker, don't you hear the screams? It's time to do much more than talk, debate, and spread hate. We need to think and at the same time investigate, understand what our actions may create. Before continuing the cycle, we procreate. We can clone humans, but at the same time, we can't feed humans. The future of man is actually looming. It's really depressing, it's true. And yes, you know the struggle goes on. People trying to survive, hold on. But we know it's been so long.